Till Wednesday morning. We don't close.
But you know you gotta make the money, so you gotta do what you gotta do.
It brings revenue to the people of Silverton.
It supports a person, a family, a future.
Carnival is an explosion of color.
There is always a very euphoric feeling whenever Carnival is approaching.
Because I have a full roster of regulars during the year, I start booking my regulars from May.
Just yesterday, I was looking at my appointment book, and I'm literally 2 pages deep, front to back with appointments, and I know it doesn't end there.
It's chaotic. We're talking some 13 to 14 hours standing.
That's my favorite time of the month. That's why I clock it. Yes, I clock my dollar. That's why I see clients I haven't seen in a long time.
It's a lot of anticipation. You feel the energy. Everybody's in such a good mood.
What's your busiest time during the year?
Carnival time. Summertime, carnival time. Yeah, like now.
Besides Christmas, Carnival is my busiest time.
Lucia Kannaval, where beauty becomes business, wellness turns into wealth, and creativity drives commerce.
We stay true to our suppliers and our vendors being local, all locals.
And we need to incorporate what our patrons really want to come and party and vibe with us for. We need to include that in the way we plan, the way we execute.
It gives me such a high, just euphoria. Sitting back
when you know
watching people.
You've done this.
Yes, I think that is it.
Enjoying themselves.
Yeah, that's my high.
Our biggest success, I would say, is the brand growth, the larger crowds, the loyal patrons, and also being a staple in Carnival.
For the past 2 years, July has delivered record-breaking tourism numbers driven by the Carnival experience.
July 17th, July 19th, July 20th are the days when we have the most number of visitors on island. And
because of the volume of visitors that we have, the high demand for short-term accommodation, I can see a situation where revenues could easily be tripled.
most places will be fully booked out by January, maybe February, if people are that lucky.
When it is that we speak of things in regards to the impact that Carnival is having, we could do so very confidently.
This is the party economy, an ecosystem where creativity meets engineering.
When we think of doing an event, it's really an economic driver. Here we do an event and we charge people a ticket price to enter, but that ticket price has so many layers to it.
While the work is being done and then you sit back and you look at the massive crowd, you could tell our carnival has grown pretty big as well.
Every year is a different change to make it better, the experience.
Without a proper production, your event might look like a tea party or a picnic.
It is production, it is precision, it is progress.
Can you balance on one side? On one side, bring it down like a landslide. Hold on, a landslide, bring it down like a landslide. Landslide. Alright, I said, what's it up? What's it up? That's a what? What's it up? What a blow? What's it up? This is a big when I say Terry, you say segment, Terry.
I will go down low, 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 low. Then and touch your toe.
Your toe.
Head or elbow.
Elbow.
Touch your seko, keke, tabong, sa lepo.
You know that people man want you and you don't want them make no noise.
No tie up, none at all. Leave that man at home. No tie up, leave him home, I say. No tie up, leave that man at home. No tie up, none at all. Leave him home, I say.
Action fun, ça pas à chat, ça fait un tiger. Oui, action gal, action, action gal, action, action gal, action. Make it bust like a pump action now.
Quick and easy, top up your card. No bank account, you get a pass. BOSL, my freedom card.
Freedom, freedom. My money, money, my way. I got freedom, freedom. If I wanna shop online, got bills to pay.
Go where I want, free to play.
I got peace of mind, secure and safe.
With BOSL, my freedom card.
My money, money, my way.
With
Every plate served and every cocktail shaken supports more than a party.
Carnival has impacted my long-term business and my life very good.
Every month should have a carnival. Carnival is when you make it, you know what I'm saying?
I do mostly all the big shows. I fill in my form, pay my money, and wait for the shows.
Next shifts come at 6 to midnight, and it goes until Wednesday morning. We don't close.
But you know you gotta make the money, so you gotta do what you gotta do.
It brings revenue to the people of St. Lucia.
It supports a person, a family, a future.
Carnival is an explosion of color.
There is always a very euphoric feeling whenever Carnival is approaching.
Because I have a full roster of regulars during the year, I start booking my regulars from May.
Just yesterday, I was looking at my appointment book, and I'm literally 2 pages deep, front to back with appointments, and I know it doesn't end there.
It's chaotic. We're talking some 13 to 14 hours standing.
That's my favorite time of the month. That's why I clock it. Yes, I clock my dollar. That's why I see clients I haven't seen in a long time.
It's a lot of anticipation. You feel the energy. Everybody's in such a good mood.
What's your busiest time during the year?
Carnival time. Summertime, carnival time. Yeah, like now.
Besides Christmas, Carnival is my busiest time.
Lucia Kannaval, where beauty becomes business, wellness turns into wealth, and creativity drives commerce.
We stay true to our suppliers and our vendors being local, all locals.
And we need to incorporate what our patrons really want to come and party and vibe with us for. We need to include that in the way we plan, the way we execute.
It gives me such a high, just sitting back and watching people. Yes. I think that is it.
Enjoying themselves.
Yeah. That's my high.
Our biggest success, I would say, is the brand growth, the larger crowds, the loyal patrons, and also being a staple in Carnival.
For the past 2 years, July has delivered record-breaking tourism numbers driven by the Carnival experience.
July 17th, July 19th, July 20th are the days when we have the most number of visitors on island. And
because of the volume of visitors that we have, the high demand for short-term accommodation, I can see a situation where revenues could easily be tripled.
Most places will be fully booked out by January, maybe February, if people are that lucky.
When it is that we speak of things in regards to the impact that Carnival is having, we could do so very confidently.
This is the party economy, an ecosystem where creativity meets engineering.
When we think of doing an event, it's really an economic driver. Here we do an event and we charge people a ticket price to enter, but that ticket price has so many layers to it.
While the work is being done, and then you sit back and you look at the massive crowd, you could tell our carnival has grown pretty big as well.
Every year is a different change to make it better, the experience.
Without a proper production, your event might look like a tea party or a picnic.
It is production, it is precision, it is progress.
Can you balance on one side? On one side, bring it down like a landslide. Hold on, a landslide, bring it down like a landslide. Landslide. Alright, I said, what's it up? What's it up? That's a what? What's it up? What a blow? What's it up? This is a big mission.
When I say Terry, you say segment, Terry. Like go down low, 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 low. Bend and touch your toe.
Your toe.
Head or elbow.
Elbow.
Touch your seko, keketa, bounce and lepo.
You know that people don't want you and you don't want them make more noise.
No tie up, none at all. Leave that man at home. No tie up, leave him home, I say. No tie up, leave that man at home. No tie up, none at all. Leave him home, I say.
Jeune femme, ça pas à chatte, ça c'est un tiger. Oui, action gal, action, action gal, action, action gal, action. Make it goes like a pump action now.
Quick and easy, top up your card. No bank account, you get a pass. BOSL, my freedom card.
Freedom, freedom. My money, money, my way. I got freedom, freedom. If I wanna shop online, got bills to pay.
Go where I want, free to play.
I got peace of mind, secure and safe.
With BOSL, my freedom card.
My money, money, my way.
With BOSL, my freedom card.
Every plate served and every cocktail shaken supports more than a party.
Carnival has impacted my long-term business and my life very good.
Everyone should have a carnival. Carnival is when you make it, you know what I'm saying?
I do mostly all the big shows. I fill in my form, pay my money, and wait for the shows.
Next shifts come at 6 to midnight, and it goes until Wednesday morning. So we don't close.
But you know you gotta make the money, so you gotta do what you gotta do.
It brings revenue to the people of the region.
It supports a person, a family, a future.
Carnival is an explosion of color.
There is always a very euphoric feeling whenever Carnival is approaching.
Because I have a full roster of regulars during the year, I start booking my regulars from me.
Just yesterday, I was looking at my appointment book, and I'm literally 2 pages deep, front to back with appointments, and I know it doesn't end there.
It's chaotic. We're talking some 13 to 14 hours standing.
That's my favorite time of the month. That's why I clock it. Yes, I clock my dollar. That's why I see clients I haven't seen in a long time.
It's a lot of anticipation. You feel the energy. Everybody's in such a good mood.
What's your busiest time during the year? Carnival time. Summertime, carnival time. Yeah, like now.
Besides Christmas, Carnival is my busiest time.
Lucia Kannaval, where beauty becomes business, wellness turns into wealth, and creativity drives commerce.
We've stayed true to our suppliers and our vendors being local, all locals.
And we need to incorporate what our patrons really want to come and party and vibe with us for. We need to include that in the way we plan, the way we execute.
It gives me such a high, just euphoria. Sitting back
when you know
watching people.
You've done this.
Yes, I think that is it.
Enjoying themselves.
Yeah, that's my high.
Our biggest success, I would say, is the brand growth, the larger crowds, the loyal patrons, and also being a staple in Carnival.
For the past 2 years, July has delivered record-breaking tourism numbers driven by the Carnival experience.
July 17th, July 19th, July 20th are the days when we have the most number of visitors on island.
And because of the volume of visitors that we have, the high demand for short-term accommodation, I can see a situation where revenues could easily be tripled.
Most places will be fully booked out by January, maybe February, if people are that lucky.
When it is that we speak of things in regards to the impact that Carnival is having, we could do so very confidently.
This is the party economy, an ecosystem where creativity meets engineering.
When we think of doing an event, it's really an economic driver. Here we do an event and we charge people a ticket price to enter, but that ticket price has so many layers to it.
While the work is being done, and then you sit back and you look at the massive crowd, you could tell our carnival has grown pretty big as well.
Every year is a different change to make it better. The experience.
Without a proper production, your event might look like a tea party or a picnic.
It is production, it is precision, it is progress.
Can you balance on one side? On one side, bring it down like a landslide. Landslide, bring it down like a landslide. Alright, I said, what's it up? What's it up? Shut up, what's it up? What up, no? What's it up? This is a big mission. When I say Henry, you say segment, Henry.
Michael, go down low, 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 low. Bend and touch your toe. Your toe. Head or elbow. Elbow. Touch your seko, keke, ta bounce and left foot.
You know that people don't want you and you don't want them make more noise.
No tie up, leave that man at home. No tie
pop a shot, so say a tiger. Wait, action, gal, action, action, gal, action, action, gal, action. Make it bust like a pump action now.
Quick and easy, top up your card. No bank account, you get a pass. BOSL, my freedom card.
Freedom, freedom. My money, money, my way. I got freedom, freedom. If I wanna shop online, got bills to pay.
Go where I want, free to play.
I got peace of mind, secure and safe.
With BOSL, my freedom card.
My money, money, my way.
With BOSL, my freedom card.
Every plate served and every cocktail shaken supports more than a party.
Carnival has impacted my long-term business and my life very good.
Every man should have a carnival. Carnival is when you make it, you know what I'm saying?
I do mostly all the big shows. I fill in my form, pay my money, and wait for the shows.
Next shifts come at 6 to midnight, and it goes until Wednesday morning. So we don't close.
But you know you gotta make the money, so you gotta do what you gotta do.
It brings revenue to the people of St. Lucia.
It supports a person, a family, a future.
Carnival is an explosion of color.
There is always a very euphoric feeling whenever Carnival is approaching.
Because I have a full roster of regulars during the year, I start booking my regulars from May.
Just yesterday, I was looking at my appointment book, and I'm literally 2 pages deep, front to back with appointments, and I know it doesn't end there.
It's chaotic. We're talking some 13 to 14 hours standing.
That's my favorite time of the month. That's why I clock it. Yes, I clock my dollar. That's why I see clients I haven't seen in a long time.
It's a lot of anticipation. You feel the energy. Everybody's in such a good mood.
What's your busiest time during the year? Carnival time. Summertime, carnival time. Yeah, like now.
Besides Christmas, Carnival is my busiest time.
Lucia Kannaval, where beauty becomes business, wellness turns into wealth, and creativity drives commerce.
We stay true to our suppliers and our vendors being local, all locals.
And we need to incorporate what our patrons really want to come and party and vibe with us for. We need to include that in the way we plan, the way we execute.
It gives me such a high, just sitting back and watching people.
You've done this.
Yes, I think that is it.
Enjoying themselves.
That's my high.
Our biggest success, I would say, is the brand growth, the larger crowds, the loyal patrons, and also being a staple in Carnival.
For the past 2 years, July has delivered record-breaking tourism numbers driven by the Carnival experience.
July 17th, July 19th, July 20th are the days when we have the most number of visitors on island. And
because of the volume of visitors that we have, the high demand for short-term accommodation, I can see a situation where revenues could easily be tripled.
Most places will be fully booked out by January, maybe February, if people are that lucky.
When it is that we speak of things in regards to the impact that Carnival is having, we could do so very confidently.
This is the party economy, an ecosystem where creativity meets engineering.
When we think of doing an event, it's really an economic driver. Here we do an event and we charge people a ticket price to enter, but that ticket price has so many layers to it.
While the work is being done, and then you sit back and you look at the massive crowd, you could tell our carnival has grown pretty big as well.
Every year is a different change to make it better. The experience.
Without a proper production, your event might look like a tea party or a picnic.
It is production, it is precision, it is progress.
Can you balance on one side? On one side, bring it down like a landslide. Hold on, a landslide, bring it down like a landslide. Landslide. Alright, I said, what's it up? What's it up? Shut up, what's it up? What a blow, what's it up? This is a big good. When I say Jerry, you say segment, Jerry.
Go down low, low, low. him home, I say. No tie up, leave that man at home. No tie up, leave him home, I say.
Jeune femme, ça part à chatte, ça c'est un tiger. Oui, action gal, action, action gal, action, action gal, action. Make it bust like a pump action now.
Quick and easy, top up your card. No bank account, you get a pass. BOSL, my freedom card.
Freedom, my money, my way. I got freedom. If I wanna shop online, got bills to pay.
Go where I want, free to play.
I got peace of mind, secure and safe.
With BOSL, my freedom card.
My money, my way.
With BOSL, my freedom card.
Every plate served and every cocktail shaken supports more than a party.
Carnival has impacted my long-term business and my life very good.
Every month should have a carnival. Carnival is when you make it, you know what I'm saying?
I do mostly all the big shows. I fill in my form, pay my money, and wait for the shows.
Next shifts come at 6 to midnight, and it goes until Wednesday morning. So we don't close.
But you know you gotta make the money, so you gotta do what you gotta do.
It brings revenue to the people of Celebration.
It supports a person, a family, a future.
Carnival is an explosion of color. There is always a very euphoric feeling whenever Carnival is approaching.
Because I have a full roster of regulars during the year, I start booking my regulars from May.
Just yesterday, I was looking at my appointment book, and I'm literally 2 pages deep, front to back with appointments, and I know it doesn't end there.
It's chaotic. We're talking some 13 to 14 hours standing.
That's my favorite time of the month. That's why I clock it. Yes, I clock my dollar. That's why I see clients I haven't seen in a long time.
It's a lot of anticipation. You feel the energy. Everybody's in such a good mood. What's your busiest time during the year?
Carnival time. Summertime, carnival time. Yeah, like now. Besides Christmas, Carnival is my busiest time.
Lucia Kannaval, where beauty becomes business, wellness turns into wealth, and creativity drives commerce.
We stay true to our suppliers and our vendors being local, all locals.
And we need to incorporate what our patrons really want to come and party and vibe with us for. We need to include that in the way we plan, the way we execute.
It gives me such a high, just euphoria. Sitting back
when you know
watching people.
You've done this.
Yes, I think that is it.
Enjoying themselves.
Yeah, that's my high.
Our biggest success, I would say, is the brand growth, the larger crowds, the loyal patrons, and also being a staple in Carnival.
For the past 2 years, July has delivered record-breaking tourism numbers driven by the Carnival experience.
July 17th, July 19th, July 20th are the days when we have the most number of visitors on island.
And because of the volume of visitors that we have, the high demand for short-term accommodation, I can see a situation where revenues could easily be tripled.
Most places will be fully booked out by January, maybe February, if people are that lucky.
When it is that we speak of things in regards to the impact that Carnival is having, we could do so very confidently.
This is the party economy, an ecosystem where creativity meets engineering.
When we think of doing an event, it's really an economic driver. Here we do an event and we charge people a ticket price to enter, but that ticket price has so many layers to it.
While the work is being done, and then you sit back and you look at the massive crowd, you could tell our carnival has grown pretty big as well.
Every year is a different change to make it better. The experience.
Without a proper production, your event might look like a tea party or a picnic.
It is production. It is precision. It is progress.
Can you balance on one side? On one side, bring it down like a landslide. Hold on, a landslide. Bring it down like a landslide. Landslide. Alright, I said, what's it up? What's it up? When I say Henry, you say segment, Henry. My girl go down low, 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 low. Bend and touch your toe, head or elbow, elbow. Touch your seko, keke, kabong, selepo.
You know that people don't want you and you don't want them make no noise.
No tie up, leave that man at home. No tie up, leave him home, I say. No tie up, leave that man at home. No tie up, leave him home, I say.
Jeune femme, ça pas à chatte, ça fait un tiger. Oui, action gal, action, action gal, action, action gal, action. Make it goes like a pump action now.
Quick and easy, top up your card. No bank account, you get a pass. BOSL, my freedom card.
Freedom, freedom. My money, money, my way. I got freedom, freedom. If I wanna shop online, got bills to pay.
Go where I want, free to play.
I got peace of mind, secure and safe.
With BOSL, my freedom card.
My money, money, my way.
With BOSL, my freedom card.
Every plate served and every cocktail shaken supports more than a party.
Carnival has impacted my long-term business and my life very good.
Every man should have a carnival. Carnival is when you make it, you know what I'm saying?
I do mostly all the big shows. I fill in my form, pay my money, and wait for the shows.
Next shifts come at 6 to midnight, and it goes until Wednesday morning. We don't close.
But you know you gotta make the money, so you gotta do what you gotta do.
It brings revenue to the people of the region.
It supports a person, a family, a future.
Carnival is an explosion of color. There is always a very euphoric feeling whenever Carnival is approaching.
Because I have a full roster of regulars during the year, I start booking my regulars from May.
Just yesterday, I was looking at my appointment book, and I'm literally 2 pages deep, front to back with appointments, and I know it doesn't end there.
It's chaotic. We're talking some 13 to 14 hours standing.
That's my favorite time of the month. That's why I clock it. Yes, I clock my dollar. That's why I see clients I haven't seen in a long time.
It's a lot of anticipation. You feel the energy. Everybody's in such a good mood. What's your busiest time during the year?
Carnival time. Summertime, carnival time. Yeah, like now. Besides Christmas, carnival is my busiest time.
Lucia Kannaval, where beauty becomes business, wellness turns into wealth, and creativity drives commerce.
We stay true to our suppliers and our vendors being local, all locals.
And we need to incorporate what our patrons really want to come and party and vibe with us for. We need to include that in the way we plan, the way we execute.
It gives me such a high, just sitting back
when you know
watching people.
You've done this.
Yes, I think that is it.
Enjoying themselves.
That's my high.
Our biggest success, I would say, is the brand growth, the larger crowds, the loyal patrons, and also being a staple in Carnival.
For the past 2 years, July has delivered record-breaking tourism numbers driven by the Carnival experience.
July 17th, July 19th, July 20th are the days when we have the most number of visitors on island.
And because of the volume of visitors that we have, the high demand for short-term accommodation, I can see a situation where revenues could easily be tripled.
Most places will be fully booked out by January, maybe February, if people are that lucky.
When it is that we speak of things in regards to the impact that Carnival is having, we could do so very confidently.
This is the party economy, an ecosystem where creativity meets engineering.
When we think of doing an event, it's really an economic driver. Here we do an event and we charge people a ticket price to enter, but that ticket price has so many layers to it.
While the work is being done, and then you sit back and you look at the massive crowd, you could tell our carnival has grown pretty big as well.
Every year is a different change to make it better. The experience.
Without a proper production, the event might look like a tea party or a picnic.
It is production It is precision. It is progress.
Good mic, good sound.
Well.
Can you balance on one side? On one side, bring it down like a landslide. Hold on, a landslide, bring it down like a landslide. Alright, I said, what's this up? What's this up? That's a what? What's it up? What up, yo? What's it up? This is a big mistake. When I say Terry, you say segment, Terry.
Michael, go down low, 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 low. Bend and touch your toe.
Your toe.
Head or elbow.
Elbow.
Touch your seko, keke, bounce and left foot.
You know that people don't want you and you don't want them make more noise.
No tie up, none at all. Leave that man at home. No tie up, leave him home, I say. No tie up, leave that man at home. No tie up, none at all. Leave him home, I say.
Sapa a shot, say a tiger. Wait, action, gal, action, action, gal, action, action, gal, action. Make it bust like a pump action now.
Quick and easy, top up your card. No bank account, you get a pass. BOSL, my freedom card.
Freedom, freedom. My money, money, my way. I got freedom, freedom. If I wanna shop online, got bills to pay.
Go where I want, free to play.
I got peace of mind, secure and safe.
With BOSL, my freedom card.
My money, money, my way.
With BOSL, my freedom card.
Every plate served and every cocktail shaken supports more than a party.
Carnival has impacted my long-term business and my life very good.
Every man should have a carnival. Carnival is when you make it, you know what I'm saying?
I do mostly all the big shows. I fill in my form, pay my money, and wait for the shows.
Next shifts come at 6 to midnight, and it goes until Wednesday morning. So we don't close.
But you know you gotta make the money, so you gotta do what you gotta do.
It brings revenue to the people of Celebration.
It supports a person, a family, a future.
Carnival is an explosion of color.
There was always a very euphoric feeling whenever Carnival is approaching.
Because I have a full roster of regulars during the year, I start booking my regulars from
Just yesterday, I was looking at my appointment book, and I'm literally 2 pages deep, front to back with appointments, and I know it doesn't end there.
It's chaotic. We're talking some 13 to 14 hours standing.
That's my favorite time of the month. That's why I clock it. Yes, I clock my dollar. That's why I see clients I haven't seen in a long time.
It's a lot of anticipation. You feel the energy. Everybody's in such a good mood.
What's your busiest time during the year?
Carnival time. Summertime, carnival time. Yeah, like now. Besides Christmas, carnival is my busiest time.
Lucia Kannaval, where beauty becomes business, wellness turns into wealth, and creativity drives commerce.
We've stayed true to our suppliers and our vendors being local, all locals.
And we need to incorporate what our patrons really want to come and party and vibe with us. We need to include that in the way we plan, the way we execute.
It's such a high. Just sitting back and watching people.
Yeah.
Yes. I think that is it.
Enjoying themselves.
Yeah. That's my high.
Our biggest success, I would say, is the brand growth, the larger crowds, the loyal patrons, and also being a staple in Carnival.
For the past 2 years, July has delivered record-breaking tourism numbers driven by the Carnival experience.
July 17th, July 19th, July 20th are the days when we have the most number of visitors on island. And
because of the volume of visitors that we have, the high demand for short-term accommodation, I can see a situation where revenues could easily be tripled.
Most places will be fully booked out by January, maybe February, if people are that lucky.
When it is that we speak of things in regards to the impact that Carnival is having, we could do so very confidently.
This is the party economy, an ecosystem where creativity meets engineering.
When we think of doing an event, it's really an economic driver. Here we do an event and we charge people a ticket price to enter, but that ticket price has so many layers to it.
While the work is being done and then you sit back and you look at the massive crowd, you could tell our carnival has grown pretty big as well.
Every year is a different change to make it better, the experience.
Without a proper production, the event might look like a tea party or a picnic.
It is production, it is precision, it is progress.
Well,
can you balance on one side? On one side, bring it down like a landslide. Landslide, bring it down like a landslide. Landslide. Alright, I said, what's it up? What's it up? That's a what? What's it up? What a blow? What's it up? This is a English school. When I say daring, you say segment daring.
I go down low, 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 low. Then and touch your toe.
Your toe.
Head or elbow.
Elbow.
Touch your seko, keke, kabong, salepo.
You know that people don't want you and you don't want them make no noise.
No tie up, leave that man at home. No tie up, leave him home, I say. No tie up, leave that man at home. No tie up, leave him home, I say.
Action from Sapa a shot, say a tiger. Wait, action gal, action, action gal, action, action gal, action. Make it goes like a pump action.
Quick and easy, top up your card. No bank account, you get a pass. BOSL, my freedom card.
Freedom, freedom. My money, money, my way. I got freedom, freedom. If I wanna shop online, got bills to pay.
Go where I want, free to play.
I got peace of mind, secure and safe.
With BOSL, my freedom card.
My money, money, my way.
With BOSL, my freedom card.
Every plate served and every cocktail shaken supports more than a party.
Carnival has impacted my long-term business and my life very good.
Everyone should have a carnival. Carnival is when you make it, you know what I'm saying?
I do mostly all the big shows. I fill in my form, pay my money, and wait for the shows.
Next shifts come at 6 to midnight, and it goes until Wednesday morning. So we don't close.
But you know you gotta make the money, so you gotta do what you gotta do.
It brings revenue to the people of the region.
It supports a person, a family, a future.
Carnival is an explosion of color.
There was always a very euphoric feeling whenever Carnival was approaching.
Because I have a full roster of regulars during the year, I start booking my regulars from
Just yesterday, I was looking at my appointment book, and I'm literally 2 pages deep, front to back with appointments, and I know it doesn't end there.
It's chaotic. We're talking some 13 to 14 hours standing.
That's my favorite time of the month. That's why I clock it. Yes, I clock my dollar. That's why I see clients I haven't seen in a long time.
It's a lot of anticipation. You feel the energy. Everybody's in such a good mood.
What's your busiest time during the year?
Carnival time. Summertime, carnival time. Yeah, like now. Besides Christmas, carnival is my busiest time.
Lucia Kannaval, where beauty becomes business, wellness turns into wealth, and creativity drives commerce.
We stay true to our suppliers and our vendors being local, all local.
And we need to incorporate what our patrons really want to come and party and vibe with us. We need to include that in the way we plan, the way we execute.
It gives me such a high, just sitting back when you're watching people. Yes. I think that is it.
Enjoying themselves.
Yeah. That's my high.
Our biggest success, I would say, is the brand growth, the larger crowds, the loyal patrons, and also being a staple in Carnival.
For the past 2 years, July has delivered record-breaking tourism numbers driven by the Carnival experience.
July 17th, July 19th, July 20th are the days when we have the most number of visitors on island. And
because of the volume of visitors that we have, the high demand for short-term accommodation, I can see a situation where revenues could easily be tripled.
Most places will be fully booked out by January, maybe February, if people are that lucky.
When it is that we speak of things in regards to the impact that Carnival is having, we could do so very confidently.
And this is our second year hosting Listwa Kannaval. For those of you who were able to join us last year, you will remember that our first lecture featured Dr. Anthea Octave, Lucian born. And we know that we want to try to continue Listwa Kannaval, and it's part of the annual events on the Lucian Carnival calendar, focused on documenting, preserving, and discussing the history and evolution of Lucian Carnival. The event is designed to create meaningful cultural dialogue around the development and future of Lucian Carnival. Now, this year's theme, Rhythm, Language, and Identity, does our music define us? The discussion will explore how Lucian music has influenced culture, identity, language, and the overall Carnival experience. Now, this year's featured lecturer is Dr. Ronald T. Francis, one of my very good friends, and he's a lecturer in linguistics at the University of the West Indies Cave Hill campus. And Dr. Francis's research focuses on language, culture, and St. Lucian popular music like Dennery segment, making him uniquely positioned to lead this conversation. And fun fact, Ronald is actually from Dennery, so we are looking forward to that. The lecture will also open discussion on the role of Creole language and cultural expression in music. Now, before we move on to the lecture, we would like to invite Manchus Casabor, and I'm sure those of you earlier folks will know of his music and his contributions to St. Lucian music. So, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and help me welcome Mr. Casabor. Hi, good evening. How are you?
Good evening. I feel good and happy to be here.
You're happy to be here with this couch? The couch is comfy.
Nice and soft.
Nice and comfy. Love the shirt. I see that you're representing.
I am representing, Somebody saw me earlier and they said, wow, you have crowns. It's like an affirmation.
And you do have two crowns, right? You do have two OECS.
Yes.
At the time when we did the OECS Soca Monarch, you have two crowns.
Two OECS
Soca Monarch crowns. And that was very early back in the day.
Very early with, First of all, I did I Doing a Thing. A lot of people know it as she looking good.
That's the name of the song?
Yeah, I Doing a Thing. I Doing a Thing. And then We Making Love.
That was my track.
The year after, yeah.
The year after that. And you're also very involved in education. I would have read up a little bit about that you're involved in education through piano teaching.
Absolutely. I've done a lot with regards to the piano. Online, for instance, I have a YouTube channel with over 400 and something thousand subscribers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive. That's impressive.
Almost 500,000. And, books on Kindle, on the piano, courses on Udemy. A lot with regards to the piano, with regards to music, music theory, pianokeyboardguide.com. I've been doing it for a long time, since I started that in 2003.
Right. So that is shortly after you started participating in competition, right?
Exactly. Before that, I had been on a cruise ship. And I didn't want to be on a cruise ship. I was missing home, missing St. Lucia. Plus, I had done Make Around and Fire Burn Them.
Oh, I remember those songs.
Yes.
Burn Them.
The previous year, I remember being on a ship and there was a St. Lucian saying, hey, I don't want to say that, but she said, hey, he's famous in St. Lucia. So I had to be home. So, I started doing that and working online. Yeah, I did that. And
so that was in 2002. So you have over 2 decades of experience as a performer and songwriter. So tell me, how have you seen St. Lucia's music industry evolve since then?
Oh, wow. I've seen a lot happen with regards to that. I remember way back then coming to the shows, being very young, and you would see the Trinidadians getting a lot of crowd response. Everybody would be waving for the Trinidadians, and we were still doing the fast calypso, which, you dance, but it's not really the jump and wave kind of thing. And when Manchas, even Ninja Dan, even Alpha, came on the scene, things started to change. That is when the music changed, because it was a lot of fast calypso, but we started doing more soca with music like We Making Love. And you see us getting the crowd response, the hands in the air, just like the Trinidadians. So a lot changed. That was a period in around 2002, 3, 4, that period where the music, St. Lucia music started to change. Even things I did, I remember doing a thing and doing the brass line, doing it very short because, being young then and seeing what's happening, I realized, okay, people don't want to hear that long brass. So I not living here without a woman. So short and just come into it. So the music, and then even afterwards with We Making Love, the brass came out of it at the start, like the long band chorus.
Right, that is associated with calypso.
Right, more associated with calypso, the long band chorus. We took that out. That started to come out of the music around that era. A lot to what we have now. Yeah, a lot. It's like some people say, like we set the foundation. I let them say it.
Yes. Well, we can agree that you did. you did set the foundation.
Yeah.
Do you think that, with looking at the way the music has evolved, would you say that Trinidad's influence has a lot to do with that on our music, or do you think that St. Lucians have found their sound over the years?
Okay, so even back then, when I came on the scene, I ensured that I brought out the Lucianness, even things with like Make Her Wrong.
Right.
Making it look, I not leaving here without a woman.
Right.
Like real Lucian.
Right.
So because I saw the
phrasing being very St. Lucian.
Very St. Lucian using our dialect.
Right.
Because I saw the Jamaicans doing their thing, the Trinidadians doing their thing. So yes, the Trinidad music had an influence, but it was still Lucian. It was still Lucian with, the terms we use, even the style of music was very Lucian. So moving forward, we have seen even more Lucianness in the music, even with what's happening today. If we have to, fast forward to today, Denry segment.
Right.
We can't get more Lucian than that. Sometimes I wanted to say, sometimes it's even too Lucian, but that's just a joke. A lot of Lucianness in the music. So what we're doing, and it comes from us. We are influenced. Yes, we are influenced. Every music, all music is influenced. Is influenced. Whether the Trinidadians are influenced, nothing is truly original.
Right.
Nothing is truly.
Agreed.
Every music, all music is influenced. So, but it is still us. It is still St. Lucian. It is still what comes from us, what we picked up here, there, and everywhere, whether from Africa, whether from Trinidad, whether even from America, wherever, because, whether you call it, I know in sociology probably they say acculturation or whatever.
Right.
But it's influence, but it is still Lucian. Even the way we speak, it's still us.
Exactly.
So our music is our music. Soca, sometimes we say, and that may be, sometimes we say that Denry segment is St. Lucian, but soca, our soca music, what that is St. Lucian, it is Lucian soca.
Right.
It's not Trini soca we're doing, we're doing St. Lucian soca.
Right.
Because I cannot sound, even if I cannot sound like a Trinidadian, I could only be a Lucian. You understand? So it's Lucian music. Let us not feel like, oh, that is not ours. People say that often. That is not ours. It's not ours. I grew up, I was born in St. Lucia. I'm doing music. I'm just being a Lucian. So how is it something else? It is our music. I want people to know that it is our music. The Dennery segment is ours. So is the St. Lucian music we've been doing.
Well, that actually brings me to my next question, because I was about to ask about many of our soca artists going international, regional and international, going into competitions, and how is it that we are still able to represent ourselves uniquely? But I think that you sort of answered that question, you know, even as we try to take the landscape, right? How do we make our name still being uniquely St. Lucian? But I think that you answered that question. If you want to, go a step further. I know we don't have much time. I can see.
We don't have much time.
They're giving us the time.
Oh, we just get warm up. We almost. Yeah. So even when we go out there, we still bring out that Lucianness. Everywhere we go, we fly our flag and we represent St. Lucia. It is our thing.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Manchester, for joining us on the couch at Listwa Kannaval.
Listwa Kannaval. And it was a pleasure and an honor. Appreciated. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All the best. Yes.
Thank you. All right, our next artist, Dennery segment king, the local Shakespeare. Ladies and gentlemen, this man needs no introduction. Give it up for Umpa. How are you?
I'm Gucci. How are you doing?
You Gucci? I'm good. I see that you're dressed in the signature Umpa style.
Yeah,
if I don't see you with these, all of those chains around your neck,
oh, yeah?
I would think something is wrong.
That's essential. I must have it.
So tell us about your involvement in Dennery segment. You have been one of the more distinctive voices in Dennery segment. How did you start with Dennery segment? How did you start with music?
So music basically was my escape from my everyday struggles, right? Originally, I didn't do Dennery segment. I have to give credit to Servants and Mighty.
Okay.
I gotta pay homage, right? Mighty was the one who told me, try the Dennery segment. Because, I have the lyrics and I could just change it and give that kind of style, And I was like, nah, man, I can't do that. Because I was more into reggae and dancehall until I gave it a try, So that's how I got involved in the genre, basically.
Okay. So once you gave it a try, you got stuck.
Well, yeah, I got stuck for sure.
Tell us about the use, because I find like every time I'm listening to you, I think I can understand Creole until sometimes I listen to you and it just sounds, it's first language. It's simple. It literally just rides off of your tongue. So tell me about the use of the Creole language in your music.
All right. So I feel like the Creole language in the music basically give it that distinct flavor, that distinct taste. You know what I mean? So me growing up from Dennery, basically we would speak Creole every day, all the time, fluently. You know what I mean? And I feel like adding the Creole to the Dennery segment was just very easy for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I have one last question for you. I remember many moons ago when Kakal would have won Soca Monarch with Lung Kaka. I remember that there was a whole argument that our Creole could not have been exported in music and that people would not understand, right? And I remember that being this whole debate. And I remember thinking that we bring in people like Kassav to perform. So what is the difference? However, now we are seeing that, you're all over the world performing. You go to the parties in other countries and they're playing the Dennery segment. What do you think is the difference between then when Kakal did it and now where people like you, Mighty Servants, are doing it?
I feel you have to give people time. Yeah, give people time to get accustomed. So I feel back then it was probably a bit new to them. So that's why they basically was against that. But then we came in as youth. And once the youth can relate to youth, basically once we have that following, they don't have a choice but to accept it.
Do you think that the rhythm itself, and probably very similar to what Manchas would have said before, in terms of probably having those lines that even when I cannot speak the language, that I'm able to repeat it, platate, and do you think that that may also help with being easily exported?
Actually, yes, because I've had people reach out to me and they tell me they don't know how to speak Creole, but just listening to the music, it has taught them a lot of Creole words and lines, and yeah.
All right, so what's next for Ampa?
Too many things.
Too many things to discuss on the couch.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I know we have to be very short and quick.
Thanks for having me. Yeah.
Thank you for being here.
All right.
All right, so we are getting into our lecture with Dr. Ronald T. Francis, and he's going to look at music, identity, culture in Dennery segment. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being with us, and stay tuned because we have more coming up at Listwa Kannaval.
Every plate served and every cocktail shaken supports more than a party.
Carnival has impacted my long-term business and my life very good.
Every man should have a carnival. Carnival is when you make it, you know what I'm saying?
I do mostly all the big shows. I fill in my form, pay my money, and wait for the shows.
Next shifts come at 6 to midnight, and it goes until Wednesday morning. We don't close.
But you gotta make the money, so you gotta do what you gotta do.
It brings revenue to the people of this country.
It supports a person, a family, a future.
Carnival is an explosion of color.
There is always a very euphoric feeling whenever Carnival is approaching.
Because I have a full roster of regulars during the year, I start booking my regulars.
Here we do an event and
just yesterday I was looking at my appointment book and I'm literally 2 pages deep front to back with appointments, and I know it doesn't end there.
It's chaotic. We're talking some 13 to 14 hours standing.
That's my favorite time of the month. That's why I clock it.
The experience.
Yes, I clock my dollar. That's why I see clients I haven't seen in a long time.
It's a lot of anticipation.
It is production. It is precision. It is progress.
What's your busiest time during the year?
Carnival time. Summertime, carnival time. Yeah, like now.
Besides Christmas, Carnival is my busiest time.
And my life very good.
Every man should have a carnival. Carnival
Wellness turns into wealth.
I do mostly all the big shows. I fill in my form, pay my money, and wait for the shows.
Next shifts come at 6 to midnight, and it goes until Wednesday morning.
To our suppliers and our vendors.
You gotta make the money, so you gotta do what you gotta do.
What our patrons really want to come and party and vibe with us. We need to include that in the way we plan, the way we execute.
It gives me such a high.
Quick and easy, top up your card. No bank account to get a pass.
I think that is
That's my
high.
Our biggest success, I would say, is the brand, the larger crowds, the loyal patrons, and also being a staple in Carnival.
where I want, free to play.
For the past 2 years, July has delivered record-breaking tourism numbers driven by the Carnival experience.
July 17th, July 19th, July 20th are the days when we have the most number of visitors on island.
Because of the volume of visitors that we have, the high demand for short-term accommodation, I can see a situation where revenues could easily be tripled.
Most places will be fully booked out by January, maybe February, if people are that lucky.
When it is that we speak of things in regards to the impact that Carnival is having, we could do so very confidently.
It's a lot of anticipation.
This is the party economy,
Everybody's in such a
an
good
ecosystem where creativity meets engineering.
When we think of doing an event, it's really an economic driver. Here we do an event and we charge people a ticket price to enter, but that ticket price has so many layers to it.
While the work is being done, and then you sit back and you look at the massive crowd, you can tell our carnival has grown pretty big as well.
Every year is a different change to make it better. The experience.
Without a proper production, the event might look like a tea party or picnic.
It is production.
Our patrons
It is
really
precision.
want us to come and
It is
party.
progress.
We need to include include that in the way we plan, the way we execute.
Well, such a high.
Can you balance on one side? One side, bring it down like a landslide. Hold on, landslide, bring it down like a landslide. Landslide. All right, I said, what's it up? What's it up? What's it up? What up, bro? What's it up? This is a big mission. When I say Terry, you say Terry. Go down low, 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 low. Bend and touch your toe. Your toe. Head or elbow. Elbow. Touch your say, go kick it, bounce on your boat.
You know that people don't want you and you don't want them make no noise.
No tie up, no at all. Leave that man at home. No tie up, leave him home, I say. No tie up, leave that man at home. No tie up, none at all. Leave him home, I say. Action from, sapa a shot, ça c'est a tiger. Oui, action gal, action, action gal, action, action gal, action. Make it bust like a pump action now.
Quick and easy, top up your card. No bank account, you get a pass. BOSL, my freedom card.
Freedom, freedom. My money, money, my way. I got freedom, freedom. If I wanna shop online, got bills to pay.
Go where I want, free to play.
I got peace of mind, secure and safe.
With BOSL, my freedom card.
My money, money, my way.
With BOSL, my freedom card.
Every plate served and every cocktail shaken supports more than a party.
Carnival has impacted my long-term business and my life very good.
Every month should have a carnival. Carnival is when you make it, you know what I'm saying?
I do mostly all the big shows. I fill in my form, pay my money, and wait for the shows.
Next shifts come at 6 to midnight, and it goes until Wednesday morning. So we don't close.
But you know you gotta make the money, so you gotta do what you gotta do.
It brings revenue to the people of St. Lucia.
It supports a person, a family, a future.
Carnival is an explosion of color. There is always a very euphoric feeling whenever Carnival is approaching.
Because I have a full roster of regulars during the year, I start booking my regulars from May.
Just yesterday, I was looking at my appointment book, and I'm literally 2 pages deep, front to back with appointments, and I know it doesn't end there.
It's chaotic. We're talking some 13 to 14 hours standing.
That's my favorite time of the month. That's why I clock it. Yes, I clock my dollar. That's why I see clients I haven't seen in a long time.
It's a lot of anticipation. You feel the energy. Everybody's in such a good mood. What's your busiest time during the year?
Carnival time. Summertime, carnival time. Yeah, like now. Besides Christmas, Carnival is my busiest time.
Lucia Kannaval, where beauty becomes business, wellness turns into wealth, and creativity drives commerce.
We stay true to our suppliers and our vendors being local, all locals.
And we need to incorporate what our patrons really want to come and party and vibe with us for. We need to include that in the way we plan, the way we execute.
It gives me such a high, just euphoria. Sitting back
when you know
watching people.
You've done this.
Yes. I think that is it.
Enjoying themselves.
Yeah. That's my high.
Our biggest success, I would say, is the brand growth, the larger crowds, the loyal patrons, and also being a staple in Carnival.
For the past 2 years, July has delivered record-breaking tourism numbers driven by the Carnival experience.
July 17th, July 19th, July 20th are the days when we have the most number of visitors on island. And
because of the volume of visitors that we have, the high demand for short-term accommodation, I can see a situation where revenues could easily be tripled.
Most places will be fully booked out by January, maybe February, if people are that lucky.
When it is that we speak of things in regards to the impact that Carnival is having, we could do so very confidently.
This is the party economy,
an ecosystem where creativity meets engineering.
When we think of doing an event, it's really an economic driver. Here we do an event and we charge people a ticket price to enter, but that ticket price has so many layers to it.
While the work is being done and then you sit back and you look at the massive crowd, you could tell our carnival has grown pretty big as well.
Every year is a different change to make it better, the experience.
Without a proper production, your event might look like a tea party or a picnic.
It is production, it is precision, it is progress.
Can you balance on one side? On one side, bring it down like a landslide. Hold on, a landslide, bring it down like a landslide. Landslide. Alright, I say bust it up, bust it up. That's a what? Bust it up. What a blow, bust it up. This is the English. When I say Henry, you say segment, Henry. I go down low, 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 low. Bend and touch your toe. Your toe. Head or elbow, elbow. Touch your say go kick it, bounce and left foot.
You know that people don't want you and you don't want them make no noise.
No tie up, leave that man at home. No tie up, leave him home I say. No tie up, leave that man at home. No tie up, leave him home I say. Action from, ça pas achat, ça c'est un tiger. Oui, action gal, action, action gal, action, action gal, action. Make it bust like a pump action now.
Quick and easy, top up your card. No bank account, you get a pass. BOSL, my freedom card.
Freedom, freedom. My money, money, my way. I got freedom, freedom. If I wanna shop online, got bills to pay.
Go where I want, free to play.
I got peace of mind, secure and safe.
With BOSL, my freedom card.
My money, money, my way.
With BOSL, my freedom card.
Every plate served and every cocktail shaken supports more than a party.
Carnival has impacted my long-term business and my life very good.
Every man should have a carnival. Carnival is when you make it, you know what I'm saying?
I do mostly all the big shows. I fill in my form, pay my money, and wait for the shows.
Next shifts come at 6 to midnight, and it goes until Wednesday morning. We don't close.
But you know you gotta make the money, so you gotta do what you gotta do.
It brings revenue to the people of Celebration.
It supports a person, a family, a future.
Carnival is an explosion of color. There is always a very euphoric feeling whenever Carnival is approaching.
Because I have a full roster of regulars during the year, I start booking my regulars from May.
Just yesterday, I was looking at my appointment book, and I'm literally 2 pages deep, front to back with appointments, and I know it doesn't end there.
It's chaotic. We're talking some 13 to 14 hours standing.
That's my favorite time of the month. That's why I clock it. Yes, I clock my dollar. That's why I see clients I haven't seen in a long time.
It's a lot of anticipation. You feel the energy. Everybody's in such a good mood. What's your busiest time during the year?
Carnival time. Summertime.
You may be seated. Good evening, everyone. As we know, tonight we are going to be talking about one of our local genres, Denry segment. So I'm going to be performing a song that I think everybody here knows, and I'll need your help with it. Join in when you can, but also I want you to say, what is his problem, whenever I stretch out my hand like that. Can you guys do that? Let's try that. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, we're ready to go. Just so you know, this song is not about cars. Rude boy, when you get the car, you have to wash the car, you have to oil the car, well, lubricate the car, cause someone going to take the car, and it will not jar. 238 square miles, it going very far, we putting it the first gear. Partner all dance to fre, bearing knocking keke, my partner do keke, so you better take care, and just watch your state there, cause a man will scrap the ride and leave the plate there. My relative got Corolla, he have no control over, he hunter Motorola. What is his problem? I think I'm telling Clovis, his car have to service, he saying me no notice. What is his problem? Now man come and jack his car, now you want to cry? Since the time I telling Clovis, boy, to lock your ride, you feeling like you is top man, you is Iron Man? Well, look, the next man coming to replace the bottom pan. When you get the car, you have to wash the car, you have to oil the car, well, lubricate the car, cause someone going to take the car, and it will not jar. 238 square miles, it going very far, we putting it in first gear. Partner all that souffre, bearing knocking keke, my partner don't keke, so you better take care, and just watch your state there, cause a man will scrap your ride and leave the plate there. When you see it passing, muffler is smoking, the roof it leaking, and my plug not working, windows not working, and window self not working. When you see yourself passing there, hey, when you get the car, you have to wash the car, you have to oil the car, well, lubricate the car, cause someone going to take the car, and it will not jar. 238 square miles, it going very far. Control over, he content. Let's go. What is his problem? I keep on telling Clovis, his car have to service, he paying me no notice. Well, a man come and jack his car, oh man, to cry. Since the day I telling Clovis, boys, lock your ride, you feeling like you is top man, you is Iron Man. Well, look, a next man coming to replace the water pan. When you get the car, you have to wash the car, you have to oil the car, well, lubricate the car, cause someone going to take the car, and it will not jar. 238 square miles, it going very far. Thank you very much.
Usan sampale bakayad lang. Uni quality, uni quantity. Pas joint d'un, nous en d'un now. Ma way un homme point tout bagaille, femme oui mais bagaille, allez bagaille, now fait bagaille, pour ma way bagaille, ou ni bagaille, pour baille bagaille, now. Ma way un homme point tout bagaille, femme oui mais bagaille, allez bagaille, now fait bagaille, pour ma way bagaille, ou ni bagaille, pour baille bagaille, l'on point bagaille, mettez en bagaille, tourner bagaille, oui mais bagaille, pencher bagaille, kawe bagaille, soukwe bagaille, tamble bagaille, nave bagaille, tic tac bagaille. Salon bagay, konbel bagay, joke daday, mol kon papay, I ka fait des tranches la pla kon babay. Now, ma way un homme point tout bagay, femme oui mais bagay, hein. Now fait bagay, pour ma way bagay, ou ni bagay, pour bay bagay. Now, ma way un homme point tout bagay, femme oui mais bagay, allez bagay. Now fait bagay, pour ma way bagay, ou ni bagay, pour bay bagay. Now point bagay, mettez en bagay, tourner bagay, oui mais bagay, pencher bagay, kawe bagay, soukwe bagay, tamble bagay, nave bagay, tic tac bagay, salot bagay, kontel bagay, joke daday, mol kon papay, I ka fait des tranches nak la pla. Ma way un homme point We me bagay, ale bagay, now fair bagay, puma we bagay, uni bagay, pu bay bagay, now bagay nom pwe tut bagay, from we me bagay, ale bagay, now fair bagay, puma we bagay, uni bagay, aha. Woo! Let's go. But we are nom pwe tut bagay, from we me bagay, ale bagay, now fair bagay, puma we bagay, uni bagay, but we are nom pwe tut bagay, from we me bagay, ale bagay, now fair bagay, puma we bagay. Then we segment jazz. Woo! Ha! Bash one day now. Best I figure one drop. If you cock up. Then tight it up. Who got the foot warm at Baba shop now? From best I figure one drop. If you cock up. Then tight it up. Who got the foot warm at Baba shop now? Tell leg West Bay. Oh Lord.
Thank you, Ampa and Shan Lucian, former National Carnival Queen. Before there was music, there was a story, a memory, an event, a moment, and a creative spirit with the desire to capture it, preserve it, and share it with the rest of the world. Through rhythm, we found our voice. Through language, we preserved our heritage. Through music, we carried our stories from one generation to the next. Tonight, we gather to explore the sounds that move us, the words that define us, and the culture that unites us. We will explore the connection between rhythm, language, and identity, and ask an important question: does our music define us? Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the Carnival Planning and Management Committee, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the second edition of Listwa Kannaval. My name is Chelsea Jonge, and I will be your host for this evening. Thank you for joining us as we continue what is quickly becoming an important tradition of Lucian Carnival, a space dedicated not just to celebrating Carnival, but to understanding it, documenting it, and preserving it for future generations. Carnival is often experienced through the color, the energy, the music and spectacle that fill our streets each year. But behind every song, costume, rhythm, and tradition lies a story waiting to be told, and that is the purpose of Listwa Kannaval. So this event was established by the Carnival Planning and Management Committee as part of their commitment to creating a more inclusive Lucian Carnival experience, one that provides a space for every St. Lucian and visitor to our shores. So at its core, this initiative, is rooted in two of the committee's guiding principles: inclusivity and cultural preservation. At its core, Listwa Kannaval reflects the belief that there is something for everyone in Lucian Carnival. So, each year, the event examines a different aspect of Lucian Carnival through the lens of history, culture, and contemporary relevance. Tonight, we turn our attention to one of the most powerful forces in Carnival and in society itself: music. And so with that foundation, we arrive at tonight's theme: rhythm, language, and identity. Does our music define us? It is a question that is both simple and profound. From the chants and folk traditions of our ancestors to calypso, soca, and the emergence of Dennery segment, our music has continuously evolved. But as our music evolves, so too does the conversations around it. How does music shape our identity? How does language influence the way we express ourselves through song? What role does music play in preserving culture while embracing change? And perhaps most importantly, does our music define us, or do we define our music? We're honored to welcome tonight another St. Lucian lecturer to deliver tonight's featured lecture and provide the foundation of our discussion. Following the lecture, we will hear from an accomplished panel representing music, culture, media, education, and Carnival on a whole. They will each share their own perspectives, experiences, and insights on the theme raised. And because the culture belongs to all of us, the conversations will not end there. We will also open the floor for audience participation, giving you an opportunity to share your views and contribute to tonight's discussion. So this evening, we invite you to listen, reflect, question, and engage as we explore the rhythms, language, and expressions that continue to shape St. Lucia and Lucian Carnival. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Listwa Kannaval 2026. And now it is my distinct pleasure to introduce our featured lecturer for this evening. Our presenter is not just a proud St. Lucian, but he hails from the community of Dennery. His work sits at the intersection of language, culture, identity, and social change. Dr. Ronald Francis is a lecturer in linguistics with the Department of Language, Linguistics, and Literature at the University of the West Indies, Cave Hill campus in Barbados. He holds a PhD in linguistics and a Bachelor of Arts degree with honors in Atlantic Creoles, in linguistics, and Spanish from the University of the West Indies. His research focuses on Atlantic Creoles, applied and corpus linguistics, and world Englishes, while also examining issues of social justice, discrimination, and attitudes in education and culture. He currently serves as Executive Secretary for the Society of Caribbean Linguistics. More importantly for us this evening, Dr. Francis has developed a growing body of research exploring the relationship between language, culture, and St. Lucian popular music. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our lecturer this evening for Listwa Kannaval 2026, Dr. Ronald Francis.
Thank you so much. Good evening. What a wonderful introduction by Chelsea. I usually arrive at my lectures slightly late and a little disheveled, and my students are wearing jeans and t-shirts, and occasionally they're even wearing pajamas. So you are today the most glamorous audience I have ever had. I'm going to put my clicker here. Right. Wonderful. So today I will be speaking about language, rhythm, and cultural practice in St. Lucian popular music. I like to start with gratitude. That's how I start my day. So I want to start by saying thank you to Carnival St. Lucia for inviting me. I want to specifically call out Chelsea and Monique, who have shown me so much hospitality since I've been here, and Tammy and Stacy and the entire team, and to thank my family for coming out to support me. I also want to just mention my colleagues and friends who are online and watching. There are many linguists looking online at this lecture right now, and I hope to represent them well. If you've ever attended one of my lectures, you know that I'm very clear in my objectives from the very beginning. So today I want to ask some questions. So we're going to ask questions together. We'll do some theory and some method because I'm an academic and I like the sound of my own voice. We'll talk about what's in Denry's segment, and specifically I will focus on the rhythm and the language and the culture. And as part of culture, I will assess some of the research I've done on attitudes. And then finally, because it is the job of academics to warn, to advise, to talk, and to think highly of ourselves and our opinion, I will offer some considerations for discussion. Is that okay? Thank you so much. So the question that we are looking at today is, does our music define us? And the short answer is yes. But I've been invited to give it a long answer, and that's what I'll do for the next hour. But I think that there's another, perhaps more important question, and that question is, do we define our music? Would you agree that we do? We do define our music, and I would like to break down the question into some sub-questions, if I may. So how much of popular music in St. Lucia is defined perhaps by our folk culture, the folk music that we have? What is the linguistic composition of popular music in St. Lucia? And what aspects of St. Lucian culture feature prominently in our music? And in order to do that, we're going to theorize a bit. So I'm going to take you on a little bit of a theory journey so that we can be guided by theory in our analysis. Right? So I want to look at popular music in St. Lucia through a theory by a professor called Pierre Bordeaux, which is called the theory of practice. And essentially, very simplified, the theory of practice is the idea that social actions are not completely the result of rule following, but they are internalized dispositions. They are habits. They are things that we learn over time. They're concrete. They're inside of us. And these things are constantly interacting with our social environments that also feed our dispositions. Are we getting a little too heavy here? We're simplifying. Okay. So essentially, we are shaped by our social history, which we'll talk about, but we choose our actions based on our social limits. Things like education, right? Technical expertise, class, where you're born, race, gender, right? So we are conditioned and shaped by our environment, and our environment also determines what we can do. And there are three key terms that we have to think about. The first one being habitus. And you can see the core of the term in it already, right? Unconscious habit. So that's your gut feeling, right? All of the things that you know by nature, the taste, the things that you like, and specifically for us today, language. There's also capital. That's the resources available to you. So capital can be economic, for example, money, and that's generally the most important capital in societies. Educational, cultural, and symbolic. So for us, something like heritage, identity, Creole would be some kind of cultural capital. And then, of course, there is the field. There is where this entire game happens. Some scholars even call it the game or the market. And I like the term market for our lecture today. It is the social environment where your habitus breathes, where you explore the capital that you have. And that is work, that is school. It's even the road. It's carnival, right? Carnival is one of the fields. It's where you compete for status. And it is governed by a system of sanctions and censorship. It's about what you censor and what you allow. Is everybody with me so far? I like to check in, and I like an active audience, okay? So, of course, I have a duty of care to tell you how I collected my data. All scholars must do it. So I gathered film, radio interviews, blogs, online papers, interviews, YouTube production videos, and approximately 80 songs were transcribed, and the songs were produced between 2016 to 2019. I felt that there was a lot of music during that time. And I also more recently gathered some more data from 2026. And I formed two corpora. That's just a fancy word to say bodies of text. Right? So two separate corpora were established, interviews and production, as well as lyrics. And I did some analysis on the interviews and production corpus, and I did some analysis on the lyrics corpus. Of course, the interviews and vlogs were only partially transcribed, so I only took what I needed. The songs, however, were fully transcribed. The songs were cleaned. That is to say, I removed irrelevant content like all of the introductions, the party promotions. I omitted that. And then I coded all of my data in QDA Minor, which is text analysis software. And just for the linguists who are watching online, because I also want to pitch this to them, I used phrase units or tense units, if you will, which is like the smallest unit of analysis that we will allow in linguistics. And then I coded for cultural elements. I want to give some credit to Dr. Sandra Evans, who the very first paper that I published on this, she's also a St. Lucian, and she was also my chief doctoral advisor. The paper that we published in 2018, we did together. So the perspectives that you see here today are not just mine. They are two St. Lucian researchers from the East Coast. Yeah, we're happy with that? Okay, so what do I mean by popular music? Quite simply, I mean Denry segment, I mean AMPA, right? That's just the short answer right away. But Denry segment, as you know it, and that's what I want to discuss today. Denry segment is St. Lucia's, I would say, most popular genre of music right now, and it is a subgenre that emerged around 2009. So English puts it at 2009. Some scholars put it at 2010. Keacher Greaves also put it at 2009. And it emerged on the island. It really got prominence somewhere in the early 10s. And it was created by young producers, this is key, who were working in home studios and using accessible software such as FL Studio. So they did not have equipment, and they were not part of the established music elite. So they were doing music for themselves and for their communities. Right? And it gained traction through house parties, street parties, clubs, etc., mostly on the east coast of St. Lucia, spreading to the west coast of St. Lucia over time. And then it eventually became popular. It became the Denry segment that you know now. So it is St. Lucian made, it is about St. Lucian life, and it is authentically St. Lucian. But I would like to interrogate that idea a little bit more. What do I mean when I say authentically St. Lucian? So we have to go into it. Authentically St. Lucian simply means that they feature traditional St. Lucian instrumentation, right? That is part of what makes it St. Lucian. It features Creole lyrics, the strongest symbol of St. Lucian identity, you'd agree. And it also features aspects of St. Lucian culture. So that was my major finding, that the lyrics feature Creole lyrics, that the instrumentation is connected to St. Lucian folk culture, and many aspects of St. Lucian culture and life, particularly rural life, are present in the lyrics. So that is why we are looking at rhythm, language, and cultural practice today. So let's start with rhythm, right? We'll start here. So the question is, rhythmically, what's in Denry segment? Well, Moto, who is perhaps the biggest producer in Denry segment, he tells us. He says anything above 140 beats per minute can be considered Lucian Kuduro. Anything below that cannot. It is usually a straightforward bass line. Other soca is more melodic. There are more chords and arrangements, but Lucian Kuduro only has one lead instrument, and that's generally the drum, and that one instrument usually carries the entire beat, or it carries the entire drum on the rhythm. So that is Moto's definition in 2018 of what Denry segment is. He also goes on to say that Denry segment does not have chords, chord progressions, basically. It is strictly the beats and the drums, and the lead instrument and a heavy sub bass, right? So he explains that on his YouTube channel when he is explaining how he produces a video. But I would like to offer a broader definition, right? And interrogate that idea a little bit more. So is the Fuego rhythm Denry segment, for example? Moto himself, featuring Black Boy and Ezra, did Man with Ride, and that was only 110 beats per minute. Right? So that was not the 140 beats per minute that he proposed. It had dancehall influence. Do you know the song? It sounded a little bit dancehall-y. So is it even a soca subgenre? Is it something else apart from what Denry segment was originally? So maybe we need a broader definition of Denry segment, and that can come out of the discussion today. As part of that broader definition, I was also thinking about Bagay. And when Ampa did Bagay today, did you hear how jazzy it sounded? Right? And how slow it was. It was only 110 beats per minute. And I think the example that he gave today was even slower. But Platt for example, was about 115 beats per minute. He varies it a little bit and he does it a little bit faster on stage sometimes. That's why I put the range. So perhaps it is the rhythms rather than the tempos that define Dennery segment. So the original definition we got was about the tempo, but maybe the rhythm is what we should be looking at. But I was curious about this question musically, right? What is at the very core of Dennery segment musically in terms of instrumentation? So I asked Dennery segment producer. I asked Elmo, right? Most of you know Elmo Novel. So I asked him just a few simple questions. What is the core? I hear no chords here sometimes on one rhythm. I hear 4 chords there on another one, and I cannot pin it down. And Elmo is a musician, so he gave some wonderful answers, and I asked his permission to put them on screen. He said, "You hear too much." Dennery, you're not supposed to hear too much. You must feel it and let it breathe. So Dennery segment is something you feel and you let breathe, right? Do you feel it on the road? Do you let it breathe on the road? He went on to say, Dennery segment is simple but complex. It is based on feel rather than a grammar or conduct. It has no rules. And that's why I was looking at this idea of rule governing. It has no rules. But the last thing he said is that, and I think is the best answer that we can get, all the answers were wonderful, of course, is that the beats per minute can change for Dennery, but the no chords to few chords, that still remains. Right? So we can slow it down, we can make it faster, but it tends not to have many chords, right? Is that the definition that we can abide? Well, we'll hear from some experts today. But I think, as I said earlier, when I looked at it closely, the rhythms of Dennery segment, that is what really defines it. So when I first looked at this in 2018, we didn't have anything extensive on it. But since then, in 2020, our very own Kiche Greaves did his bachelor's thesis on the origin and structure of Dennery segment. So Kiche looked at quite a few songs. Kiche looked at the comparison between the rhythms in Dennery segment and the folk music that we have, and he established some patterns that he saw recurring over and over again. And the main pattern that he found was something called the tresillo rhythm, right? And you actually know this rhythm, even if you don't know music. If I clap it, you'll know it immediately, which is... Do you agree? Yeah, so Kiche found that to be the most common rhythm in Dennery segment. And in fact, this rhythm is very common in Caribbean music in general. So if you know Latin American music like habanera, for example, you will find this tresillo rhythm in there. That rhythm is part of many folk cultures and traditions. And more specifically, it is part of solo and our drumming tradition. So that's where that rhythm is. There were also things called the 12-bell pattern, and I will not attempt to clap a 12-8 for you right now. I will probably do it poorly. And to a lesser extent, he found some examples of the mazouk rhythm in Dennery segment rhythms as well, in the instrumentation of Dennery segment. So you can read Kiche Greaves 2020 if you would like to read 80 pages of the structure of Dennery segment, but I don't have time to give you the 80 pages right now. But we can listen to 30 seconds of the Pim Pim rhythm, which is one of the biggest early rhythms in Dennery segment, and see if we can identify that sort of rhythmic core that we just explored, right? So if I press this, right? Yeah? Do you hear that? Do you, or are you pretending? I feel like some of you were pretending. I should have made you, clap along. But if you listen to it for a little while, you will hear a snare drum, and that is the most direct connection to our folk culture. And that resembles the patterns of the tibois in solo. Right? And Moto actually explains that in one of his videos. And it also it alludes to other African drumming traditions. And of course, very clearly, if you listen, you will hear that tresillo rhythm that we just explored, that Greaves told us is the most common rhythm in Dennery segment songs. So Moto said that there are very few chords in Dennery segment, and this rhythm that he made has very few chords as well. There is a flute, I want to call it a flute. It sounds like a conch shell as well, but that is the lead melodic instrument, and it carries the primary riff that you heard on the Pim Pim rhythm. And flutes and other high-pitched wind instruments, of course, they originate from the European ballroom traditions, that we have in our dance, things like quadrille, right? And they were reinterpreted by the enslaved people throughout the Caribbean, but in St. Lucia, this specific iteration was reinterpreted. And of course, we hear a little bit of a sort of electronic trombone, right? And I did ask Kiche to listen to it because he's a trombonist, but I was hearing the trombone and so was he. So that is also some European instruments. We have some wind instruments in Dennery segment as well. If you listen closely, you will hear a little bit of a synthesizer. So there's a timpani, and for those of you who know about music, a timpani is a sort of a pitched percussive instrument. But even that is very percussive, right? We don't get long melodic lines. So that adds another rhythmic layer rather than another melodic layer. I'm trying to paint a picture. Are you getting it? The very core of genre segment is rhythm, right? It is rhythm, and it is specifically a folk rhythm that is connected directly to our African drumming tradition, most specifically this tresillo rhythm. So Greaves speaks a little bit about the timpani, and we can probably gloss over this slide here. It was just adding to what I said originally. I wanted to see whether or not this 2018 pattern, this 2009 pattern, is still what we see today. So I looked at a more recent rhythm, which is the Power P rhythm, and I have a song here that we can play.
They like to do that. Give me some. Tension. Jennifer. MKG. Tally. Give me some gal. Give me that. Give me some gal. Give me that. Give me some gal. Give me that. Simple.
Right. So atitak, right? Yeah. So if you listen to the atitak, did you hear something familiar that I mentioned 5 slides ago? All right, so you can see the core, the rhythmic core of Dennery segment. So if we compare the Power P rhythm to the Pim Pim rhythm, which is a little bit bigger, you will see similar tempos. So where Pim Pim is 147 beats per minute, Power P comes in at about 144. They both utilize that core tresillo pattern that we spoke about. However, the orchestration on Moto's rhythm is much more dense. There's much more in terms of orchestral arrangements, and Power P is leaner. It is stripped down in terms of its production style. And that is perhaps because of the ecosystem, right? So Pim Pim was meant for a regional audience, for Trinidadian artists and others to perform on it. And Power P seems to be maybe more grassroots and domestic. I left a question mark there because that's just an idea that I'm exploring. But they are essentially both authentically Dennery segment. You heard them both, and then you felt immediately that it was Dennery segment because you heard that rhythmic core. So let's theorize a little bit. What that means is that the artists, their linguistic habitus directly manifested through the intuitive use of St. Lucian rhythms. All they did was produce the rhythms that they know, the things that they hear in the communities, right? The music's cultural capital is derived from its deep connection to local folk traditions. That's what makes it powerful. That's what gives it its currency, right? The synthesis of rhythmic and linguistic elements, that is in fact what imbues Dennery segment with the authenticity that we're trying to explore here today. So we've already seen it in terms of rhythm, but I'm a linguist, so I'm going to talk a lot about language, right? And this wonderful AI-generated lady here, right, is wearing a St. Lucian flag to represent our St. Lucian languages. So do you know, I trust that you know what languages there are in St. Lucia. And if I ask you that question, you likely would have thought of English, which is on my right and your left, and then Creole, which is in red. But I have something in the middle called Slek. Right? And you've never really heard of that, right? Some people, I see some nodding, right? We have some people who did linguistics degrees. You've been tortured by me before in one of my classrooms. My students always say I give too much reading. So Slek is called St. Lucian English Creole. Now, this variety was identified back in like the 1960s, but I know the way I just said back made it sound, I maybe just aged myself as young, I think, a little bit. And it has been variously described by St. Lucian linguists, right? So the later Martha Isaac called it St. Lucian Creolized English. It was essentially an English variety that had the grammatical and semantic core of Creole, but the words, the lexis, and the vocabulary of English. Right? The late Professor Hazel Simmons MacDonald, she felt like it was closer to English than Creole, so she called it SLEV, which is St. Lucian English Vernacular, right? I would like to disagree with both of them, if I may be bold, as young academics do, right? And call it St. Lucian English Creole. And just add the word Creole to it, because I do think that it is structurally a Creole. But what's important to us is that in this variety, this SLEC that we'll call today, is that you have grammatical structures that are Creole, they are Creole structures, and then you have English words. So it is not quite English. Can we abide that? Yeah. So I was wondering, well, what's in Denry segment in terms of the varieties and the codes that we find in St. Lucia? And I found that 27% of my corpus, which was about 80 songs, about 400 unique lines, that was Creole. That was St. Lucian French Creole. Another 29% was exclusively SLEC, so this sort of Creolized variety, this English lexified Creole, so not quite English, still looking very much like Creole. About 8% of the songs were Creole and SLEC, were that French Creole and that English-based Creole as well, and 30% was standard English. So all in all, it was 64% authentic St. Lucian languages. That's what we found in the corpus of lyrics. Of course, there was another 6% for things that were, I just coded everything that was not quite language or not quite St. Lucian as other. So things like bidip bap. You know, it was hard to give that a language, right? So, so that, yeah. So I cheated a little bit and I said other, right? Forgive me. So that's what's other in there. I also put things like pon, you know, something very distinctly Jamaican that's not in St. Lucian at all. So I put that in other as well. But that's only 6%. So 64% of those lyrics look like St. Lucian languages. That's what they are. So perhaps we can take a closer look at them. We can interrogate them and we can see what the guys are talking about. So Creole and girls, we have Gabby, right? So many of the lyrics, was it? Did I say it wrong? All right, yeah. Yeah. So many songs are often entirely in Creole, although they sometimes feature English lexis or vocab just to facilitate a rhyme. And I don't know if you can see it properly because of the line, but I will read through for you there. So this particular bit has everything that I'm describing here. So just banu de bom wom, right? Nou parle PSV grunt, so that's a bit of Creole and English. Nou kada say moon le moon, so we're dancing close together. I'm translating for my colleagues online. La pani pièce infant, right? So a lot of Creole and a lot of Creole in the lyrics. It's. I'll tell you something. Listening to Denry segment lyrics for 3 weeks, it's interesting. It's a journey. Yeah, it's a journey. It changes a man, I think. I'm going to get a little bit linguistic here just because I'm excited about it and I want to talk about some things that are passionate to me, which is that, so we know that there are a lot of Creole lyrics, but there are also quite a lot of SLEC lyrics. So what people might be calling English lyrics are actually SLEC lyrics. And that's why I went through for that little journey of explaining SLEC to you. And I want to talk about the pronunciation or the phonology. Linguistically, we're talking about the phonological structure of the lyrics. So I found about 15 things, but I only have an hour, so I'm going to tell you 3 of them, the ones that I like. Which is that in the lyrics, you often find tense vowels, where standard English will select lax vowels. And what we mean by tense vowels is the long ones, things like E and oo and ah, right? Something where you literally have to tense up your jaw a little bit so that the sound can keep going, right? As opposed to lax vowels like I, as in bit. Yeah, what you know as long and short vowels, but although that distinction is not quite that simple in linguistics. But in the St. Lucian accent, in St. Lucian speech, we tend to select tense vowels, where a lot of other speakers select lax vowels. That's the point that I'm coming to. So we can say good instead of good. Do you agree? Yes. Or we say in instead of in. And I found that most of the lyrics feature tense vowels instead of lax vowels, right? There's also something called TD deletion, or that, what that means is alveolar stops. That's sounds that you produce by your alveolar ridge. If you pass your tongue at the top of your mouth, that's that little rough patch. Don't do that, right? But that's basically where you place your tongue to make a sound like T or D, right? So to speak. But if that sound is in a word final position, and it is also next to a voiceless sound like a nasal sound, right? It tends to get deleted in Creole languages, and that's a very common feature of St. Lucian speech as well. So that's why you'll say something like perfect instead of perfect, right? This is very common. And then friend instead of friend, yeah? And then also, my favorite one, the very last one, so I really hope it's clear on the side, which is that for the grapheme, TH, right, for the written symbol TH, there are generally two sounds in English, right, which is th, a voiceless one as in thing, and then th, a voice one as in those, yeah? Am I stretching your understanding here? You with me? I'm doing my best. But in St. Lucia, we tend to say f for the voiceless one, thing. We say thing, bring the thing for me, right? That's what we say. And we say them, we don't say them. And of course, these things are not unique to St. Lucia. You find them in Cockney and in other varieties of English as well. It was mentioned earlier that I work on World Englishes. But these features are distinctly part of the St. Lucian accent. And why I wanted to even look at them is because I have a personal gripe with St. Lucian soca artists sounding like Trinidadians, right? And I think I have vented about that. Stace, we have had conversations about that, many conversations. Sing in your accent, okay? Sing in your accent, in our accent. That's what I want to hear. And the guys in Denry segment are singing in their accent. Round of applause to them. So much of the pronunciation is St. Lucian pronunciation. At the core of it is also the grammar, St. Lucian grammar. And again, I'm going to be get a little bit into linguistics here, a little bit of Creole linguistics. We often call these things broken English, but they are not broken English. Creole languages are highly systematic. They have rule governed, they have grammar, right? We only call them broken because of post-colonial attitudes. You were taught that they were broken, right? And you internalize those attitudes. But some people could argue, for example, that maybe English is a Creole. English is in some ways a German-French Creole, right? The French invaded English in 1066 and gave it a third of its vocabulary. Everything with meant, able, shun, that's French-based, right? But you would not give English. I mean, there are many linguists who don't give English that Creole identity, but you wouldn't say it about English, but you say it about yourselves, and it's because you were taught to say that. Okay? So I just wanted to put that out there. So in our Creole languages, you often omit a copula, that is the word to be, that link-in verb, with locative phrases, with phrases of location, or with temporal phrases, with phrases of time, or with adjectival phrases, right, with descriptive phrases. And the music is full of them. So not, I am behind the truck, but I behind the truck, right? So no to be, it nice and round. And we know the thing, we know the it here. I think we can all spot the it. I'm going to get to it at the climax of this presentation, pun intended. Right? And it's 6:30, right? Not it is 6:30, but it's 6:30. Actually, it's 8:10 right now, right? So it's 8:10 currently. So that syntax is also at the core. This core syntax, which is shared by Creole, by the way, because if you just translated those words directly into Creole, you would see that the grammar is exactly the same, right? So, moi de truck-la, that's what you would say. I behind the truck. Not, moi de truck-la. You wouldn't, there's no to be, there's no so to speak, right? Another aspect of Creole languages is the marking, the grammatical marking of duration, meaning how long something is happening, or habit, how often something is happening, with just the verb and ing, so no auxiliary, the same to be is left out. So girl, I am lying, not I am lying, right? He probably is lying, but girl, I am lying, so that's like durative. And when you whining, right? Iterative over and over again. So every time you whine, which I imagine is often. So every time you whine, each iteration of the whine, you don't need to put the copula, right? Yeah, you don't need the copula for any iteration of the whine. So that is extremely common in the lyrics as well. About 80% of the lyrics feature something that is at the core of St. Lucian grammar or syntax. Right? Another thing is that we do not, in Creole languages, and this again I cannot stress enough, is not broken. It is different, not deficient. When a verb is an action verb in Creole languages, when it is dynamic, and we say unmarked, we say non-stative verbs, meaning not a state, like seem, right? Or, right? Seem is a state. I seem happy. I hope so, right? That's a state of being. If something is non-stative, it is dynamic, it's an action, we tend not to put a past tense marker and just use context. So we say something like, I take lessons already. That's a lyric. So I take lessons already, or God give everybody a little something. And again, you can spot the something. There's something in reference. So this aspect of our languages as well heavily features within the languages. And of course, we get a lot of very distinct Lucian negation patterns, right? So things like do, not, can, right? I don't know, I know, right? I can't do it, right? So that is featured throughout the lyrics as well. So I will not bore you too much with more descriptive linguistics, if you will. But if you're interested, you can read Francis and Evans 2018. There are about 30 pages of that in there, right? Basically, Creole and Slek, the languages of St. Lucia, that is what is in the lyrics that we see, right? And I give you some examples. And they are, to theorize a little bit more, direct manifestations of the linguistic habitus of the artists who are singing the music. They're singing what they know. They're literally singing their linguistic competence, the languages that they know, right? And what they know is what they produce. And thankfully, what they know is St. Lucian. Agreed? But there is also a conscious act. When we were talking about theory early on, we were talking about a conscious act. They're making choices as well to imbue the lyrics with a particular identity, right? And we see that here with Freezy, right? So Freezy says he's not giving up his Creole roots. He said, I always try, just the underlined part, I put the entire quote, but if you can see the underlined part here, I always try to put local in everything I do, in everything I say, in my singing. Even in my running, I run in Creole, right? Right? I guess you can run in Creole on the stage. I suppose that is identifiable. I'm from Denver, but I don't know if I can run in Creole. Umpa will have to show me later. Right? So it is a conscious act. So why did this even happen? Why do the lyrics even look like Creole? Well, it's because the growth was organic. It developed outside of the music establishment, right? So in rural St. Lucia in particular, there is always and has always been widespread appreciation for Creole music. Maybe not the same type of appreciation in more urban parts of the country. And it was also outside of institutionalized spaces. Nobody was telling them what to do at the genesis, in the nascency of this variety. Nobody was editorializing. Nobody was correcting, prescribing, right? There were no teachers. It was just developing naturally in its own habitat. And it developed because there was demand, right? Creole is highly valued within a rural market, right? So within these communities, Creole is valued. So because there was demand, they had the capital and they gave it, right? They gave the capital in exchange for, well, money, right? So they had the cultural capital and they gave it for economic capital. And also there is folk continuity. We have our flower festivals, and those things always reinforce Creole usage. So traditional songs are almost entirely in Creole. So there is a direct connection between the tradition, which is very palpable, right? Our Creole communities are, I'm thinking of a horrible word, I'm being too academic right now, bumblating with traditional feeling, right? Well, I joked about that earlier today. And that culture, that tradition carries over into the culture that we see. So I would like to interrogate, finally, in the last 20 minutes that I have, a little bit more about the culture. So when we talk about Denry segment, we've talked about what's in the rhythm, we've talked about what's in the language. Culturally, what does Denry segment look like? I want to first start by saying it is not just about winding fast and slow on the poto. Okay? I want to put that out there first, all right? I know that many of you think that's what it is, and we'll get to that. We'll get to the poto, Balamin, Coco, right? Yeah. As I said, I was listening to the Denry segment lyrics for 3 weeks, right? Many metaphors, right? A lot of double entendre. So many connections to the lived experiences of St. Lucians, right? And one of the biggest connections that we see is to farming and local food, So something like I just love St. Lucia, sweet mango and ripe banana, coconuts, jelly water, juicy yams and guavas. That's our national dish, okay? So these things are St. Lucian, and that's in the lyrics. So we have connection to local food, we have connection to farming, we have connection to the lived realities of St. Lucians. There's also a lot of folklore and religion, right, in the Henry segment as well. And here is an example. This one was absolutely my favorite, right? L'année ça là, moi vini pour brûler tout gagé. So this year I come to burn all witches, right? Alkali, me kafute yo alkali. So ammonia, I'm giving them alkali, or I'm striking with alkali, if you will, right? Upani pou pegaje, right? You must not be afraid of witches. Alkali epi bon Dieu, right? So ammonia and God. If that duality is not St. Lucian, I don't know what is. If that duality of Chebois and Christ is not St. Lucian, then I don't know what is, right? Right? You must pray, but also walk in your house backwards, you know? Yeah. Right? You must kneel down before bed, but sleep with your clothes wrong side. Like, that is, that is St. Lucia, yeah? I don't know. My late mother used to rub some potion into my head to go to school, you know, so people wouldn't play with my head, and I would learn. And I would learn. Yeah, it worked. Okay, well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to my mother. Of course, the lyrics also talk about things like migration and the diaspora, the St. Lucian diaspora, right? The Caribbean diaspora is a huge part of our lived realities. So Lani Femme qui kamade maye. So I said that poorly, sorry. Lani Femme kamade maye. So there are women asking for marriage. Pour machine, loto ek papier. So for vehicles, lottery, and papers. So lots of women are getting married for papers, right? And they're going all the way to England, to the UK to do it, right? So they even talk about migration and the diaspora in there. And I was debating whether or not to put the next slide, but I did it. There's a little bit of political commentary as well, right? I just want to say I have no affiliations. That I'm purely objective. I'm a scholar. Right? That's what I am. I'm an academic. All right? So they cut the grass behind the grass and put it on the side of the road. Right? So that's a Denry segment song. Or since when that is your role. Right? I had a picture of him here, but my sister wisely told me to take it out before. She said, absolutely not, don't do that. So you know who we're talking about. And again, no political affiliation. So I've left it for last, but we can talk about it, right? Can we talk about can we talk about it? Can we talk about the salaciousness? Shall we use that word? Can we talk about the sensuality? Is that a good word, right? Can we talk about the smut? Can we talk about that? So the lyrics are very raunchy, right? I see some of the guys here, right? You are definitely you're definitely alive, right? You're definitely red-blooded men. They explore the male gaze of the female form, right? That's a nice academic way to put it, right? They explore the male gaze upon the female form, if you will. And in my paper, one of the papers I wrote, I said that the majority of the lyrical content of the genre is a lascivious pursuit of young women, right? So that's a nice way to couch that, right? Strong erotic desire, a pursuit of young women. So that's what's happening, and I have to be honest with you, that's what's happening in about 80% of the lyrics, right? I did talk about migration and farming and culture, but mostly when they mention plantain, they're talking about themselves, which is okay, but you know, yeah, you agree? I see someone, yeah, I see you nodding, yeah, he agrees, right? So the artists often address young women with terms of endearment, right? In St. Lucia, my girl, right? Jeune fille, right? Young girl, jeune femme or gyal. And they instruct women to do things. Akupi, right? Bend down. And of course, very famously, split in the middle. Right? I was doing my MPhil in Trinidad when that song came out, and all of my trainee friends were like, Ronald, what's a twanch? Ronald, what's a twanch, boy? What is the twanch? That's the butt cheeks, the twanch. That's a terrible Trini accent. I've not done it justice at all. Right? But the lyrics are very heavily sexual, right? They're very raunchy, and people have opinions about those lyrics, right? So again, Kiche, in his study, he asked his 580 respondents what aspects of Denry segment they think can be improved. And they said, about 78% of them said the lyrical content. They want the lyrical content improved. That's what they said, right? And we see it also in discussions, in the discourse around Denry segment. So I want to just show you a few of those. Don't mention Denry segment to Fish Alphonse. Sorry, is he here? Right? Don't mention Denry segment to Fish Alphonse, right? That was in an article in the Star, right, by McDowell in 2018. St. Lucian culture, that's the part that I highlighted, you can follow along. St. Lucian culture is a culture of respect, and there are certain conversations we hold in public and certain conversations we hold in private, right? So I don't know if that's still his opinion, but that was his opinion in 2018, right? And His Grace, the Archbishop of Castries, so much respect for him, Archbishop Malzé, he wrote an article, a reflection on St. Lucian Carnival in 2023. And then in there, in his opinion, the letter that he submitted to The Voice, among his many quarrels were number 2, right? The musical artists who are male continue this exploitation by producing lyrics which glorify women shaking their bumper, winding down and encouraging them to embrace the marketing role as whiners, right? So that's out there. And it's not just in St. Lucia, right? It's abroad as well. So for example, just last year in 2025, Ian McQuad, I think, or McQueed, I hope I'm pronouncing that properly, he said, not everyone can handle it. That's in the UK Guardian, right? Not everyone can handle it. Discover the raunchy, relentless sounds taking over the Caribbean. At Notting Hill Carnival this weekend, you will hear the sound of bouillon and Denry segment, mutated, hear that word, subgenres full of sexualized lyrics, right? Full of sexualized lyrics. And at one point in time, he quotes someone who actually calls it nastiness, right? He actually calls it nastiness. So the lyrics are about sex, and people have opinions on it. Do you have opinions on it? Right? You have opinions on it. So let's theorize, because that's what I do. That's what I know how to do. Right? That's what I got a degree to do. And the way I see it, the lyrics are driven by there's an audience-driven legitimacy in the lyrical content. The genre sexual content is legitimized by the active participation and acceptance of its female fan base. That is what I see when I look at it. And there is cultural capital. As we spoke about earlier, we looked at these terms, habitus and cultural capital, right? What are the resources available to you? And we said that within the field, you sanction things or you censor things, right? The field. You have the ability to sanction or to censor. And the field sanctions and censors materials, and that shapes the lyrical focus towards the pursuit of women because it is sanctioned. So each akupi is a sanction. Yeah? That's what it is. Every time you bend down, you give permission, right? You make it okay for those lyrics to be in Denry segment, right? Every single akupi. And you know, I have my notebook here because I was at the radio station this morning and there were some young women outside. And they were talking to some carnival queens. And because I'm a scholar, I immediately did a focus group with them while they were putting on their makeup. And I wrote down what they said because I didn't want to forget it. So I asked them, I said, whether or not they think that the music is vulgar, it is degrading, how do they feel about the lyrics in general? Do they love the Denry segment? And they said a couple of things that I thought you might like to hear. Would you like to hear it? They said that they love Denry segment, but not bouillon. They find bouillon goes a little bit too far. All right, so they love them. Denry segment apparently goes just far enough. So akupi, balamin, poto, coco, that's just far enough, right, for these young ladies. They said that previous generations were just as raunchy, but the only difference between them and those previous generations is that they have social media. They said that they don't believe that nudity and whining are predictors of sexual behavior. right? So that a woman isn't necessarily a whore or whatever the labels that people use because she's winding on the road in a carnival costume. And they said that they love carnival because they like the momentary freedom that it gives, right? It doesn't have to be every part of their lives every single day, but they like that day when they can just be free, where they can be judged, where they can be, outside of people's judgment, and then feel admired, but just for the day, right? It doesn't have to be your everyday. And then I was having breakfast this morning, and then I saw a dinner segment artist in the restaurant. So of course I interviewed him because that's what academics do. We need to stop. And I asked him, I said, what would you say to people who think that your lyrics are too nasty, that they're too raunchy, right? And then he said, and I quoted this, I'm quoting him verbatim here. He said, that's what people want, especially at Carnival. So that's why he's doing it, because that's what people want, especially at Carnival. So at the end of the day, what's happening is that you are sanctioning the akupi, right? The artists are producing the things that they think you want, the things that will sell, the things that will give them economic capital, right? They're trying to trade in their linguistic capital for economic capital. And I would just like to, just caution people who are clutching their pearls about Denry segment, that we have a bit of a sexual underbelly in St. Lucian culture in general, right? And that's, so this number right here, right? Monsieur Maya, right? This is very interesting. Moi vini acheter l'argent bon moi, right? Right, so that's culture right there, right? Remember Monsieur Maya? Right, l'argent bon moi. I'm not gonna dance, it's gonna be awful, right? Do you know the song? All right. That's smart. Yeah, that is salacious, and that's out there, and that's folk, and that's culture, and that is culture. I'm sure there are many people who would describe that as culture, but probably would describe the Denry segment as smart. Now, let me say, I'm not opining. I think that my role here is to start the discussion, and I hope that I'm creating enough controversy for a lively discussion. All right. But the artists, they are adapting to the market, the field, in both the Bordeaux sense that I was mentioning earlier, but in the literal sense of the market, the carnival market. So they consciously incorporated, when I went through the interviews, I realized they consciously incorporated more what they call English, but what is really slick, right? They consciously incorporated those lyrics in order to expand into English-speaking markets, right? They wanted to be marketable. And earlier works, I looked at the works over time. Earlier works that were written on zouk rhythms in particular, it used a lot of double entendre or double entendre, right? If you want to anglicize it, rather than explicitly salacious lyrics. And I think that was meant to target the French Caribbean. So it started, if you will, as raunchy, but it continues because it is accepted. Because while they would use wordplay for the French market, they didn't do it for the St. Lucian market. And I was wondering why, in fact, they don't use wordplay. They do use wordplay for the French market. And Gilbeau tells us, right? Joycelyn Gilbeau, who has done a lot of research on St. Lucian folk traditions and music, in a 1993 paper with some other scholars, she said that zouk singers have stayed away from so-called pornographic songs. I think Frankie Vessa is probably an exception, right? Which were popular during the preceding dancehall era. Instead, they focus on actual stories that can be understood by a wide audience and on generic themes that evoke Antillean ways of life and social conditions. So perhaps there's a little bit more wordplay because that is what the zouk market demanded, right? But not wordplay in St. Lucia because that's not what the St. Lucian market demanded. So I would say, stop pointing fingers at Ampa and look at yourselves, right? And again, I'm not judging. My job is to observe, to find patterns, to collect data, and to present it to you, right? For you to make policy, for you to action, and to judge from afar. And in that, I think I'm succeeding. Right? So the artists are producing a product that we want, a product that we sanction. So I want to tie it all together by saying the music has been inscribed with St. Lucian culture, with rhythms, with language, and with cultural practice. And its power is that it is authentically St. Lucian. It is the cultural capital that it carries. And authenticity is really what will set us apart. And of course, I have to offer some considerations as well. I would like to caution that culture and tradition are related. They're similar, but they're not analogous. They're not exactly the same, right? Our culture and our music is dynamic. It means it's changing, or our culture is dynamic. It can change all the time. Whereas tradition is historical, right? Tradition is social history. It's who we are, and that is somewhat static. But culture is evolving, and we can let culture evolve. We can let Carnival evolve. We can let the music evolve. We can let it change. I would also caution you not to be too prescriptive, right? Not to editorialize our art. Of course, you can react and you can comment, but art should live and it should breathe. So maybe Elmo was right? The Henry segment must breathe. That's what it is. It must have space to develop. It must have space to grow. And I would like to make a call to the artists who are here for diversity and maybe a little bit more multidimensionality, right? We can move from Poto to something else. We can perhaps explore more complex chord progressions. We can explore blending of musical genres. Denry segment does not have to remain what it is right now, but only if you want it to. Only if it is the artistic expression that you choose to produce, that you choose to put out there. Thank you very much. You've been an absolutely wonderful audience. Thank you. Oh, you're too kind.
I think we can all agree that that was an amazing delivery.
Thank you so much.
I think Dr. Francis is willing to take one or two questions.
Yes, I would.
There are roving mics, so if you are interested in asking a question, just raise your hands and the microphone will come to you.
Yeah. No questions. I couldn't have been that clear. I always tell my students, they give me the money.
We have one right here and then another one in the back of the room.
It's always concerned me, and I don't know if you have an explanation, that Denry segment is more widely accepted in the diaspora than it is locally, from my own observations. I think the first time I actually heard about it was at Rotterdam Carnival, and one of the DJs had come back from St. Lucia. He's not St. Lucian, but he was marketing it as the best thing since sliced cheese. But yet still we come back home and we have these narratives around it. I think you explored some of the themes, the salaciousness and the cultural identity outside of the establishment. So I don't know if you can expand on that.
Yeah, I think that, well, a prophet is never welcome in his own land, right? That's very common. You find that a lot of St. Lucians who are abroad, first of all, I think that the answer is twofold. Many St. Lucians or Caribbean people abroad really cling to culture because when you are in exile, so to speak, you need to connect to your Caribbean identity. And in fact, some of the strongest pieces of art, they come from artists in exile, right? So like Bob Marley, after the shooting, he went to England and that's when we got Exodus. Right? Because you're clinging to something that is real, that is who you are. So I think that people are clinging to culture abroad. I found myself listening to calypso music randomly as I was walking on the street in Germany, right? Because I was just missing home. But that's not something I might do outside of calypso season. So I think might explain why people in the diaspora are really holding on to the genre. As far as why it is not accepted here, I think it is because it was initially rejected by the music establishment and those attitudes pervade, right? So I think that people are rejecting the lyrics. I think that some of the attitudes that were placed on it by people who didn't play the music. This morning, Teddy Francis mentioned that it was not played on RCI, right, for a very long time. So those attitudes are still there, and attitudes are very hard to break, especially when they're inculcated and when they're inside of you, right? It's easier to spot a broken attitude in someone else, but not in your own self. So I think that we have, like in all post-colonial societies, we have a lot of work to do to embrace ourselves, right? Embrace the languages that we speak, embrace our culture, embrace our color, right? So there are many things. So I think that it's twofold. It is people in the diaspora holding on to any bit of culture that they can find. So that's where the embrace comes from. And then that initial rejection of the segment that is just very slowly fizzling out. I hope I answered your question. I didn't get your name. And I would ask that anybody else who asks a question, please say your name so I can address you directly. Thank you.
Kennedy Booth Samuel.
Yes.
First of all, thank you very much for a very stimulating lecture. I also want to appreciate you. In fact, I want everybody here to appreciate you for your representation of the richness of the St. Lucian, our linguistic richness, our cultural richness, and so on. And just listening to you as an academic, I see you very, very differently from some of these academics I see up here. I see an authenticity about you and a very deep, and real connection to the culture.
Thank you. I'm feeling very
I want to appreciate that. There's a lot I want to tell you, but I just want to throw one bit of information into the mix so that you can consider it in your research, in your continued research. When you showed the St. Lucian linguistic structure, you showed English, Creole, and Creole English. Okay, very distinct varieties.
Yeah,
that's what we have. But something new is happening in St. Lucia right now that I want to throw out. Okay, you talked when you looked at the lyrics of the music. You talked about, yes, a lot of Creole, but some English words in there every now and then. And that's how you talked about it. But I want to see that there's something in there that reflects exactly what you're saying about the Dennery segment. And it's very authentic reflection of St. Lucian cultural and linguistic reality. Because I did a lecture just recently on Calypso in St. Lucia. One of the things I pointed out was that St. Lucian language right now is changing. Even our use of the Creole. Okay, we point at Creole speakers as just the French Creole, and then the English Creole speakers. But we have a generation that's coming up now that we keep saying they're not taking up the Creole. You're not speaking Creole. You cannot speak Creole. But when we look at the language, what we see, the reality of the St. Lucian language is not a strict Creole being spoken there, or strict English, but our reality on the ground is code switching.
Yeah.
Okay? Natural code switching, right? You're not one or the other, and this is what the newer generation is coming and accepting the Creole. The actual practice of the language is switching across. In other words, the Creole itself, okay, is not the strict French Creole. We do have that, the strict English Creole, but we have this new Creole, we can see that Creole language that has both of them in its practice, and they switch across. And this is what is being revealed. And quite naturally, the Dennery segment, because of its authentic creation, it is revealing that reality of St. Lucian language, and we don't even realize it. We switch across languages just quite naturally. We do not speak Creole, the French Creole, or English. We just switch right through. And so that is another language reality I think you should throw in there and pay some attention to, because that is a new language reality. And it's a little unfair to tell in the new generation that
have an occasion to wear it. Remember that? Boy, was I wrong. Right, yeah. So, but multilingualism is, in fact, a global reality. I just want to tack that on here. We often like monolingualism because it has political currency. It's important, right? So if you look at things like Scandinavian countries, there's a great degree of mutual intelligibility between Swedish and Danish and Norwegian, but we like the political boundary of Norway, Sweden, and Denmark, right? So we don't acknowledge the mutual intelligibility. But the reality is that the world is a multilingual world and that we are always code switching and that language is always changing. But governments like monolingualism, right? Because it helps to define, linguistic boundaries help to define geographic boundaries. Yeah.
Good evening, Alvina Reynolds. Let me congratulate you on an amazing presentation this evening.
Thank you very much.
The 80s songs that you listened to, the artists, did you come across any female?
Yeah, I listened to Gabby. She's a vibe. Yeah, she's a vibe. Yeah, that was my favorite new song, right? The one that she just dropped. But I didn't have a specific example that matched some of the themes that I created. But yes, there are very few female artists though.
Yeah,
but
I was really curious about that because in your presentation you spoke of some of the concepts of what the males would refer to, the poto and planting and so. So I was curious as to what the women would sing about. I was trying to bring a gender slant to it. What exactly would it be?
She was singing about being a boss. That's what she was singing about. She was singing about being a boss, about being in charge. So maybe that's, I don't know, some kind of resistance, some kind of resistance to the gaze, sorry. But it was about ownership. I can't remember the lyrics right now because I listened to so many songs, but it was about ownership, being a boss, I'm in charge, things like that. It definitely was not extremely sexual. So she wasn't instructing herself or other people to mate. So I think that there's a good example being set by the female artists for diversification of the lyrics, right? For addressing other topics. Yeah.
Interesting. Thank you for that.
Thank you very much. Okay, sure.
Hi, I'm Chocolate. So the dialect is a regional variety of a particular language to a people, right? And patois, we know, we always, from the time I was a little girl, we always referred to Creole as patois. You could speak patois.
Yeah.
But I learned that patois is kind of like the broader common language of a people. You mentioned the three languages, English, Creole, and Slek, which is St. Lucia English Creole.
Yeah.
Would you relate patois to Slek? Is that where it falls?
Well, patois sort of means like a vernacular. It just means a language of routine
Right.
communication.
And isn't Slek a vernacular?
It is, yeah. So
Right.
it is.
So they're kind of one and the same.
I wouldn't go that far because there's a lot of disagreements about nomenclature, right, in terms of what we should call it and classification. I mentioned, I think I was trying to explore that St. Lucian linguists disagree. So it's not just about linguists on the outside. So the late Hazel Simmons MacDonald thought that it was an English vernacular, meaning that its structure linguistic, it was just a dialect of English, meaning I don't mean dialect in the broken sense, I mean it in the purely linguistic sense, which is a version of a language, right? So even standard American English is a dialect, right? British English is a dialect of English. Indian English, these are all dialects of this global body called English, right? So she thought it was one dialect of English. I think that there is enough grammatical overlap between Slek and between Creole to classify it as a Creole, for example. So people will say something like Trinidad English Creole, and I think that all of the features that you might find, things that we call Creole features or linguistic features that you might find in Trinidadian English Creole can be found in St. Lucian English Creole. So it is a Creole linguistically in terms of its structure, and it is a vernacular because it is widely used. It's a language of routine communication. I hope that I answered your question clearly.
Yeah, we could probably also side table it when you're done.
Of course. Yeah.
Thank you.
That's it? All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, join me again in giving Dr. Francis a round of applause. We went back and forth on this discussion a lot, and it was really nice to see it come to life and to see, as Boots mentioned, the authenticity behind it. So again, our pleasure to have you. Before we continue the proceedings for today, I would like to officially announce the title sponsors for Lucian Carnival 2026. As we do that, I would like to invite the chairperson of the Carnival Planning and Management Committee, Ms. Tamara Gibson, to the stage. And the representative of our title sponsors, Bank of St. Lucia Limited. Bigger round of applause. They're sponsoring our festival. So Bank of St. Lucia has been in operation for over 25 years, and the company has traditionally sponsored Lucian Carnival, culture, education, development projects, youth empowerment, and sports. They've touched every facet of our St. Lucian community, and it's an honor to have them on board for Lucian Carnival again and again and again. But in the top spot this year, welcome Bank of St. Lucia. So we've heard this evening the relationship between rhythm, language, and identity. It's complex, evolving, and deeply intertwined with our experiences as St. Lucians. While the lecture may have concluded, we know there were quite a few of you still with questions for Dr. Francis. The conversations certainly don't end here. We now move directly into a panel discussion. We will hear from a distinguished group of individuals whose experiences span music, media, education, heritage, and cultural development. It is my pleasure to introduce to you the panelists for this evening's discussion. So our first panelist for tonight is none other than Mr. Lance Wongu, better known as Sir Lancelot. Sir Lance is a DJ, producer, recording artist, radio personality, and Lucian Carnival ambassador. He's played a pivotal role in helping to define and popularize the Dennery segment movement. Welcome, Sir Lance. Our second panelist is Dr. Winston Fulgens. Dr. Fulgens is the Vice Principal of Academics at Sir Arthur Lewis Community College. He's a historian, archaeologist, and researcher whose work explores heritage, memory, identity, and the cultural experiences of the African diaspora. Help me welcome Dr. Fulgens. Our third panelist is Mr. Jason Darius. Jason is a cultural advocate, a media professional, and one of the early contributors of the Dennery segment movement. He's been helping to shape and promote one of St. Lucia's most influential music genres. Welcome, Jason. Today is also Jason's birthday, so I will say happy birthday, Jason, and thank you for joining us. Our next panelist is no stranger to anyone in this room. He is a curriculum officer for music at CAMDU. He's a former music educator and two-time Calypso monarch, arranger, and a mentor to many young St. Lucians. He is none other than Jason Batchelor Joseph. And guiding tonight's discussion is a man whose name has become synonymous with carnival, culture, and cultural preservation in St. Lucia. Our moderator is a distinguished cultural administrator. He's the former executive director of the Cultural Development Foundation, former director of Carnival, researcher, commentator, broadcaster, and one of St. Lucia's authorities on Carnival and cultural heritage. You know him? Well, help me welcome him, Mr. Teddy Francis.
Can you balance on one side? On one side, bring it down like a landslide. Landslide, bring it down like a landslide. Alright, I said position, position. That's a part. What up, bro? This is a English. When I say Derry, you say segment, Derry. I go down low, 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 low. Then and touch your toe. Your toe. Head or elbow. Elbow. Touch your seko, keke, kabong, salapo. You know that people don't want you and you don't want them. Make more noise. No tie up, none at all. Leave that man at home. No tie up, leave him home, I say. No tie up, leave that man at home. No tie up, none at all. Leave him home, I say. Action from up a shot to say a tiger. Wait, action, gal, action, action, gal, action, action, gal, action. Make it bust like a pump action now.
Good evening again. Good evening. Someone is saying that 80% of us here were the people who rejecting the new segment 20 years ago. Is that true? Is that true, Madam President? We thought the conversation, the panelists were saying, the whole discussion, again, congrats, Dr. Francis, exposed a lot of our St. Lucianness, our identity, yes, the paradox and contradiction, some say hypocrisy. That's a nice euphemism. Paradox and contradictions. That we in self-denial, we're trying to suppress our real selves for acceptability and standards. But before that, I want to start by acknowledging in a big way, he's perhaps never been properly acknowledged, the man who created the term Dennery segment, Sir Lancelot. The very term. The whole world has embraced it, we've exported it, the famous, but he's the one that decided to name it Dennery segment. How and why, Lance, Dennery segment?
First of all, I'd like to say good evening to the beautiful audience. Of course, Sir Lancelot, make them dance a lot from St. Lucia to France a lot. And of course, a proud Lucian Carnival ambassador. To answer that question, Teddy, I'll have to take you back to the year 2014, where, when the genre started evolving. We kind of stole a little of it from the Kuduro sound. And it was organically starting to get that name, Lucian Kuduro. But I always felt like, Ishmongru Jadenry, I always felt connected to the music because the music in itself has its own identity. It has its own background, it has its own story, one that should never be neglected. And I also saw that this genre of music would have eventually crossed borders. But why is it that in crossing borders, the conversation should start from something that is not our own or it tells the story? So from the minute somebody overseas heard it, I would always want them to ask, why Dennery? What is Dennery?
Where is Dennery?
And be a little inquisitive as to where Dennery is. So I fought I got criticized from it, but I have to give a big shout out to Hot FM, a very massive platform that I use to help popularize what we call today Denry segment.
Yeah. Jason Darius, producer, journalist, very much in the heart of the Valley, Mabuya Valley. Many have cried and clamored for improving it, diversifying the lyrics, adding chords to it. You are one of the main producers, some of the big hits. Your own take on that, your response to that?
Definitely, Teddy. Like Lance said before, I just want to say a very good night to everybody here. You guys look amazing, by the way. Big up yourselves. But yeah, there has always been that conversation, Teddy, from the time that it actually started. I remember when we started back in 2009, like Dr. Francis pointed out, there was a whole bunch of dancehall taking over. It was everywhere you go in a dancehall, it would be Vibes Cartel playing. Vibes Cartel was very popular at the time. So again, just trying to carve out a niche for ourselves. We wouldn't get any airplay just because of those raunchy lyrics and stuff, and we would try to clean it up eventually. But back then there was a clamor for it. There was a need for something authentically St. Lucian to take over that space that Vibes Cartel literally had in the dancehall space. Everywhere you'd go, you had like 90% dancehall music. So with that being said, we would create music for our house parties, our underground events and stuff like that. And eventually we knocked hard enough, and it was undeniable after that. The radio stations started playing it by popular demand. People would literally call in, can I hear this song? Why are you not playing that song? And then eventually just took over from there. And like you said, there is need for the lyrics to be cleaned up a little bit, for it to be a little bit more marketable. But again, I remember saying this back in the day as well in a recent interview. To each his own, people will listen to what they want to listen to. I mean, Denry segment is vulgar for the most part, 80%, like they said, but there are the Cardi B's of the world. There are everybody out there making raunchy music as well, and it's accepted, it's marketed, it's globalized. So, I mean, it's a little bit of a give and take. As long as we don't lose that identity, what makes us uniquely St. Lucian, I think the room for growth is there, but I mean, again, to each his own.
Yeah. And you must admit that underground energy that gave it the impetus early on. Jason Bachelor Joseph, you grew up in the church. You're now a major composer. Lindsay, you are now a major composer and educator and grooming generations. Your own take objectively on this Denry segment, its role in society, and how it is evolving.
Even if I grew up, in the church, I could actually remember when Denry segment came out, particularly because at the time I used to listen to radio. Now I don't. But Hot FM was the only station, correct me if I'm wrong, the only station that used to play Denry segment. Again, I noticed because the quality of the music back then, honestly, it was terrible. Even without knowing, definitely, I assumed that the people just recorded the things in their bedrooms and whatever. It really sounded bad. So I remember noting, but that radio station plays any and every song. But it was actually a good thing, and I could actually see the persistence and what happened eventually. In fact, the power of radio. So even back then, I did make observations about the Denry segment. I was listening, wasn't into it yet. But then right now, I do appreciate it. I have lots of thoughts about it, but that's for another show.
Thanks, Jason. Dr. Fulgence is here at the front of academia in St. Lucia. Your own take on this art and society, the balance, the fight between exportability and authenticity, and a rejection for a long time, a denial of this Denry segment, and does it represent us?
Before I answer your question, I want to say congrats, Ronald.
Your former student, right?
Yeah, I don't want to claim him, but powerful work. Really appreciate it. All right, so yeah. Then I want to address you, Teddy. Next time you call me, I will ask who's on the panel, because I'm really a fish out of water here. All right, put an academic with producers and so on. I think you called me because of some controversial stuff I said, a different forum on Denry segment.
Yes.
And I think that's why you brought me here, right? So I don't think Denry segment is carnival music. I think it has been made into carnival music. And I think that's one of the problems right now of the Denry segment. Apologies, producers, I know you have to make your money and so on. But the problem, I think, for Denry segment is the fact that it is now commercialized. It's been commodified, and as a result, has to be milked for. I remember the first time I heard Denry segment, I literally got chills. I was washing my car, and I was listening to Hot FM. And I heard, it's like, what's this thing? Literally, what's this? I stopped, what's this thing? I got chills. And why? My grandfather was a solo drummer. He had his lapoka beat, and they went around beating the drums. When I heard that, it took me right back. My grandfather died when I was 9. So that just transported me immediately. And of course, being the anthropologist, you start to theorize and start to process and so on and so forth. And then I heard another radio interview while I was cleaning the car, again, on another radio station, a young rising soca star. When they asked him about the Denry segment, he said, I'm not singing that, I'm not singing that. And I was like, oh, okay, here we go again. When I say here we go again, jazz music, African diaspora music, it was garbage. R&B, African diaspora music, it was garbage. It was too sexual. Yeah. Hint, hint, dancehall music, before that it came from reggae. Reggae was bush music. Dancehall was to, slackness versus consciousness, blah, blah, blah. We were doing the same thing again. But because we're on this little island, we forgot the rest of it. And for me, that struck me immediately. I began to do the reading on it. You spent how many days listening to Denry segment?
3 weeks.
I created a playlist, and I was listening to it for like 6 weeks. My family was tired of it, but I listened to it because for me, it took me back. Grandfather, but it was St. Lucian. The raunchiness of it, people, we need to stop. We really need to stop. Stand on the bus stop with no music, and you will hear Denry segment. I don't need to get academic about it. I don't need to get at all. It is St. Lucian, it is us. And I wonder, why is it we're always so sanctimonious? Because our things are out. Denry segment is like all the previous genres I mentioned. It's rebel music. Why? Because it's youth music. Every single one of them developed because an oppressed class had to express itself. When I started following and digging into Denry segment, the guys were calling it Lucian Kuduro. What was Kuduro? Kuduro is Angolan pop music. St. Lucian young men who have not finished school, have no background in music, playing with a computer in the bedroom, in the shed, came up with something that the society had already rejected. Solo music. That's what got me. And I began to look at where the people singing, chanting Denry segment came from. They came from a part of St. Lucia separated by a mountain. L'Associé is the separation, the sorcerer. On one side, Chassin, black boy. On the other side, the Denry people. That part of St. Lucia is where the culture stayed and developed. Now, I'm saying all of that to get a context because he was academic. I can't come here and be academic. Right. All right? But I am saying the music has evolved, but it has also been forced right. When we developed this notion of cultural industries, we found something to milk. I know I get in trouble for saying this. This cow is being milked to a point where it can't milk again. The other thing I'm looking at, when we look at the development of the music, Dr. Francis spoke about the fact that there was 2 genres he's hearing. One is for the local market, the other one, I don't think it's that. I think one is the earlier one. The newer one is going outside. The biggest Denry segment song for me this year was not sung by a St. Lucian. Yeezy Brew. Anybody know Yeezy Brew? Yeah.
The chorus.
Bungie Garlin. Everybody shocked?
Yeah.
The music is going out there, and people are picking it up, and they begin to take out the things in it that they don't understand, and they begin to produce in a way that our people can't. So now I can tell that's a Lucian producer, that's not a St. Lucian producer. So the music is evolving, and we need to be very, very careful. Carnival committee, he warned I'm giving you a further warning. If we don't create the environment, the infrastructure for the music, and we keep milking it, it will die.
Very good point.
Will die.
And a good juncture. In fact, that captures that balance again. Authenticity, exportability, that balance and the fight. You were saying that Denry segment present is sandwiched between the two and a victim of it as far as that is concerned. And also the point is making that right now the 4 biggest Denry segment songs in the industry are all produced by foreign entities. The Natuxi and so on, the Jamaican one. And so people are appropriating and re-exporting our own Denry segment. We hear a lot about the solo. You are a producer, Jason Darius. How much do you genuinely rely on your solo traditions of your ancestors and your village to produce your music?
I mean, that's all of this came from. Essentially, we come from Denry. We would see the solo groups, we would see the different La Marguerite groups, we would see all of this culture just beaming and dreaming around us. So essentially, we took those, and back in the day as a schoolboy, I'd go to school, beat drums on the desk, and if you found somebody that could beat drums really, really good, yeah, that's it there. You have a vibe in the classroom when the teacher's not there. But yeah, we took that and essentially just digitalized that. And like they were saying before, Lucian Kuduro was similar in that, what did you say earlier? I don't know what it is. I don't know the theory of it, to tell you the truth. But that's what it was for us. If we could have that, digitalize that, and just kind of work around it, and that's when he actually made the first sort of beats that you call Denry segment. We learned from the Angolan stuff and then implemented it and made it ours. You have the Shak Shak, you have the Taboo, you have the Bamboo and everything like that. So yeah, we took that and kind of digitalized that. So it being, you said the 4 biggest songs or the 4 biggest producers right now are kind of out of St. Lucia. And again, I would say the fact is, we are kind of limited in our scope of, I guess,
marketing.
Not only marketing, but a lot of things, being from a small island like St. Lucia and these other countries, the resources are really limited. So we need that sort of collaboration with our French counterparts like Martinique. We collaborate with them all the time, like Natoxi Mikado. I work with them all the time. Like just last week, I released a song with Mighty Mikado. These guys work all the time and they look really, really well. So again, that's that French influence right there. So, I mean, it's necessary to have that kind of symbiosis, but again, still hold true to what makes it uniquely St. Lucian, and that is the vernacular, what we do and how we speak, how we live as a people, those solo traditions, and have it come out in what we put out there into the rest of the world.
Jason, you're reacting this Denry segment, and the reaction to Jason also, the extent to which it reflects our society and our reality.
I wanted to comment because I noticed that I noticed Winston was saying that the most popular Denry segment now comes from Trinidad. And this is a concern I have as well. I don't think it's just a matter of not having connections like somebody is suggesting. People may disagree with me. I honestly think as St. Lucians, and I've observed it in a number of the different traditions and the arts, we have a serious lack of self-esteem when it comes to our own culture. Since we're talking about Denry segment, the decision to name it Denry segment, I remember being very vocal at the time. You cannot be calling that Lucian Kuduro. That comes from a sense of shame that our thing is not good enough for outside there. And that permeates throughout. It's in dance, traditional dance, in music, musicians are like that. Just to digress a little bit, I've made the comment before that Afrobeats, if you've listened to Afrobeats, the underlying rhythm in Afrobeats is really our quadrille. In other words, I can play any Afrobeat here and do a figure 1, figure 2, figure 3. I am saying that to suggest that if we had more pride in our own music and what is ours, why couldn't a St. Lucian have been the first to... I'm not saying they stole our music, that's all I'm saying. But why couldn't we have been the first ones to use our own folk rhythms and create something new? There's still a lot of shame that in our Creole, it happens as well. It's like on one hand, we appreciate it. Maybe in the community, it's okay. I can talk Creole among my friends. Outside of that, there is still shame in the Creole. And I can tell you that it happens with the music and with the dance. So with our Denry segment, what I'm afraid of is some other island taking it and going to town with it because we're not doing it. We are just limited. We do not consciously think, how can I develop Denry segment? What musical elements can I put into it? Just doing the same things over, the same applies to Calypso. In fact, soca is even worse. I get the impression, correct me if I'm wrong, that a lot of soca writers and so on, it's like they're listening to hear what's going on outside and copy. What about you creating your own stuff? Let me just say in general, we are lacking self-confidence. We may be a small island, but we are capable of doing everything that other islands can do.
So Lancelot, I see you applauding. Some were claiming there was a little waning of the Denry segment a few years ago. The last 2 or so years, it appeared to have waned. We see the young brigade, a kind of revival now with Tally Boy and so, a new energy, a new verve as far as it's concerned. Your own take on where we go in this and how to keep it popular and keep it at front of the music industry.
I like that question, but I just want to also say thank you for bringing Winston to the panel. I finally found who used to bash me when I was playing the Denry segment. And just to correct you though, the #1 trending song out of St. Lucia, well, I would say it's Denry segment, but it's not from here, would be classic Frescobar. He has something called Dancer.
The Dancer, yeah.
And when you listen to the song, it's Denry segment.
Denry segment.
All right, so that is it's still the most current, like in terms of trending Denry segment sound that we have.
More than the Bungie song, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But I just want to ask him a question before I answer yours, can I? You opened with a statement and you said that Denry segment is not the sound of Carnival, and I found that to be an interesting opener. So I beg to ask you the question, in your opinion, what is the sound of Carnival?
What should be?
I said Denry segment is not Carnival music.
Yes, so I'm asking you, what is Carnival music?
Here's why. I will not answer that question because it is presupposing something I'm not saying.
Right.
What I'm saying here is the music started off and it had nothing to do with Carnival. If you looked at what Dr. Francis presented, he looked at the beats. Every time, was it Moto? Moto said 140. But every time you listen to a song, it was not 140. All the songs that became Carnival songs were above that. There's a reason for that. Because when we had the first discussion, FRC had a symposium at the Blue Coral building. There were a lot of Denry segment artists there. And I said, because they're demanding to be part of the soca competition, they are going to kill the art form. Because for me, the organic rise of the art form had nothing to do with Carnival. Now, I understood why the government wanted to commodify it. I also understood why the producers have nothing wrong with that. I'm not bashing Denry segment. In fact, I was not the person bashing you playing Denry segment. Because if you listen, I said I love Denry segment. I listened to it. I actually have a playlist on Spotify, Denry segment alone. And I took out all the foreigners out of it. Anyways, that's a different thing for a different time. But what I'm saying here is that the music came out of a space where it was needed, where it was wanted. It was youth expression and it was growing organically. Because that is now being removed, because we have people now chasing the dollar. People trying to make a living. I'm not bashing that. It is necessary. All of the genres I spoke about before, and there's a reason I brought them up. Because right now, the big genres, what struck me when I first went to the US, the rap music that was playing on internationally was not the rap music that was playing in the boroughs where it started. It shocked me. It sounded different. The lyrics were different and so on. Again, dance hall. When you hear the lyrics and stuff that's rising down in the gullies and so on, is different from what's out there. So the point I'm making here is, because the music is not being fertilized where it began, it's going to lose what it has. It's going to lose the currency that it has. It has major currency. That is why people are pulling it. Marshall come to St. Lucia to pick up a piece. All right? Bungie and them start to Precision, it's like Precision actually doing, yes, why? Because it's fresh, it's new, it's mashing up Rotterdam, it's mashing up Notting Hill, it's mashing all over the place. Little carnivals that we have no idea. Those things are consuming. So because it's being consumed, however, what's going to happen is drip, drip, drip eventually it's not going to sound like, and it's not going to be what it is. So I'm not bashing it at all. I have no problem with people making a living. That's what culture is about. I am just saying that the original, maybe I should rephrase it, the original Dennery segment had nothing to do with Kannaval.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lance?
Right, and we can agree that it has evolved.
Yeah, that's
all right.
what I said.
Okay, good. Yeah, no, I'm just letting you know that I understood what you were saying, right? I would just like to say this though. You've mentioned many categories, many genres, but I just want you to keep in mind, and I want everybody in this room to remember that when you walk out, remember that the Dennery segment is a new genre of music. It is still in a teething stage. The Dennery segment is far from where it has to evolve. And we have a lot of hiccups. We have a lot of bumps in the road. Okay? But this is, and I applaud the new monarchs of the genre, the youth, Tally Boy, etc. But the future of Dennery segment, it depends on, like you said, structure, investment, quality production, and also belief. We have to believe in our own. How else are we going to make it?
Yeah.
We cannot stand up and keep criticizing and knocking down if we do not believe. Our culture is being preserved. It is a privilege to hear little children running around. Yes, some of the lyrics are questionable, but isn't it the long mama that they are speaking?
Yeah.
They are speaking what is rightfully ours, and I am privileged to be here, and I speak with passion to hear how our language is being perpetuated through the music.
Yeah. I said, Lance, the broader issue raised by Dr. Fulgence Winston here is the issue of the unnatural habitat. One, as he said, forcing it on a carnival purpose. Some have been arguing for competition, which many argue is the easiest way to kill an art form, to put in competition, Dennery segment. Some have argued that they look very unnatural and uneasy on a normal big stage, much like the solo, that a different environment, the community and the base is better for them. So where are we at? Do we stop the packaging for export and commercial use? Do we stop that? Do we in fact go back to roots? Jason?
Like I said before, it's a give and take. I mean, we have to preserve the culture, we have to preserve the identity, we have to preserve what makes it uniquely St. Lucian. But at the same time, like everybody keeps on saying, there is room for improvement, there is room for cleaner lyrics, more marketability for it to reach the highest pinnacle that it can possibly reach. And again, that is conversation that continues to happen. This is why this discourse is happening right now. And I appreciate and applaud everybody who's putting in that effort to make Dennery segment come up a level, if you will. So again, like I said, Teddy, it's just a give and take. And again, a lot of investment, like Lance said, a lot of just putting in the work to make it what it's supposed to be.
Right. We're going to our producer, Chelsea agrees. Final comments from the panel in the interest of time. You know, long the evening has been as we go through. So we start with Jason, Bachelor Joseph. Brief comments from everyone.
I just think there is room, there is space for all of the above, what we are discussing. I ask myself sometimes, why is it that Grenada can have their own sound for carnival? Jab jab. Dominica, bouillon. Dominica is known for bouillon. Here in St. Lucia, the Dennery segment is still sort of sidelined. It is possible, even if, like Winston was saying, it wasn't originally carnival music, but it's possible for us to have our own sound that sounds Dennery segment. That doesn't mean that's all we do, but then we can also be known for Dennery segment during carnival time. I just think there is space for all of that. But it's up to the artists, up to us as St. Lucians to stop being ashamed of our culture, language, music, dance, and to get serious and consciously do something to bring it forward.
Yeah. Jason, interesting to that point that Dominica has not developed any soca monarch. There's no such thing. They have not drifted. The soca is marginalized, is not allowed to rise within the culture. The bouillon dominates. No soca monarch, no big space for soca in Dominica Carnival. Final comments, Jason, then Winston.
All right, for me, what I think should happen I know that we have commercialized it to an extent that during the carnival season, that's when we get the majority of the Denry segment songs, or just songs in general, just kind of re-emerging. I remember a time when Denry segment used to be year-round. You could not go a month without hearing 2 or 3 popular Denry segment songs. So I kind of wanted to go back to that era, but then again, there is supposed to be the accommodating environment for that to happen. Everybody's chasing the dollar, like everybody says. So it's just to create that environment, to have that creativity just always blossoming and booming, and I guess after that, the sky is the limit.
Winston.
Denry segment is youth music, so I have no fear for the music. The youth will continue to do what the youth do. I think the disadvantage we have is our small population. If you have a population of 300,000 people, there's something naturally that happens with an art form. But I think what's going to happen with us is that it's going to move out. It will move out because the music is powerful. But I am not worried for youth music because the youth always do what the youth do. I can guarantee you, when the next art form, St. Lucian musical art form starts, these gentlemen will be the old men sitting here defending or attacking that new thing. Okay? So I'm not worried for youth music.
Lance?
I would just again like to thank, for having us here. I think you're gonna agree, great discussion. Ronald, yourself, starting things off. I'd just like to point out as well that currently our power monarch is actually a Denry segment song. Okay? So there is space on the big stage for the Denry segment. I do believe perhaps criteria needs to be amended because the rules and the way that Denry segment is written is different to your standard soca song. Okay? Denry segment, we can agree, is more of a Matty Bordow kind of thing. I'm permitted to say that?
Is your view?
It's a performative. It's a performative. Right? So there is room for it. And like I said, it is in the teething stage. But we really just need to harness the Denry segment. We need to groom it. There's so much room for improvement. We can implement chords. And musicians can tell you, chords, you need to go by a certain rule and respect the chords. The chords will challenge the artist to sing better, to write better, the penmanship, the lyrics. I'll give you a prime example. Teddy St. John has a song called Creme de la Creme, which is a Denry segment song, but the way he brought in a lot of chords and melody in there that you would have to listen twice to realize it's a Denry segment song. So I say all this to say that the Denry segment, it is more than music. It is identity. It is language. It is our pride, right? It is carnival. It is St. Lucian confidence. And I'm proud to have played the part in naming it, pushing it, and representing it. Thank you.
So Lancelot, the last word. On behalf of the CPMC, thank you, gentlemen, for being here. As President Alvina recommended, maybe a lady on the panel next time, Chelsea, for her take her views or perspective on Denry segment and its evolution. Thank you, and thank you to the panel.
Apparently, our panel is being held hostage on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, join me once again in thanking our panel, moderated by Mr. Teddy Francis. And a special round of applause to our distinguished guest, Sir Lancelot, Mr. Lance Mangrew, Dr. Winston Fulgens, Jason Darius, and Mr. Jason Joseph. Thank you all once again. So, before we wrap up tonight, we saw quite a few faces of artists in the Denry segment space, and we invite you all to stand. We saw Subbins, we saw Umpa, we saw, and there are quite a few of you in the room, producers, artists. No, none? Everybody left. they have performances. Well, we did want to say a special thank you to all of the contributors in the Denry segment spaces, to thank them for producing the music that keeps us going. Whether we love it or not love it, it is authentically St. Lucian. So as we come to the end of the evening's program, I have been tasked with saying a special thank you once again to our featured lecturer, Dr. Ronald Francis. Ronald, thank you for challenging us to think more deeply about our relationships between music, language, and identity. On behalf of the Carnival Planning and Management Committee, I would like to thank each and every one of you who joined us this evening for the second edition of Listwa Kannaval, both here at the Harbour Club and via our live stream. While tonight's events may be ending, the conversation continues. So we hope that the questions raised today, the stories shared, and the perspectives offered inspire you to continue these discussions long after we leave this room. So as we celebrate Lucian Carnival, I encourage each of you to review the Lucian Carnival calendar and to find your place in the festival. Whether your passion lies in music, pageantry, calypso, soca, steel pan, traditional mass, community events, or simply supporting our creative spirit, there is truly something for everyone in Lucian Carnival. My name is Chelsea Jonge, and it has been a pleasure to be your host for this evening. For those of you here at the Harbour Club, we invite you to remain with us for refreshments and to continue the discussions. And maybe reconnect with old friends, make some new ones. For those of you joining us online, it has been a pleasure. Once again, thank you, and have a wonderful evening and travel safely.